You are listening to One Bite, written by Deanne Leo, narrated by Jessica Lee. Sable has 3 rules. Stay hidden, trust no one, never bite billionaire alpha wolves at their own engagement party. She just broke all 3. 1 accidental bite, 1 mate claim she can't take back, and 1 very angry alpha who was supposed to marry someone else tonight. Now she's got a pack demanding her head, a billionaire who won't let her go, and a 4-pound Pomeranian named Lieutenant Biscuit, who's pretty sure none of this is her fault. She's been running for years. The alpha is about to give her a reason to stop, even if it gets them both killed. This is an original story written exclusively for you, the audience of this channel. If you love shifter romances with accidental mate claims, gothic theme parks, and a 4-pound Pomeranian named Lieutenant Biscuit who takes his job way too seriously, hit that like button and drop a comment below. Your engagement means the world, and it keeps these stories coming. Want to see your story idea come to life? Comment below with your favorite tropes, meet-cutes, or sidekick ideas. Deanne Leo reads every single one, and your idea might be the next story you hear. And because so many of you asked, there's a free exclusive bonus chapter featuring Biscuit's first date. And yes, it's exactly as chaotic as you'd expect. All links are in the description and pinned in the first comment. Looking for more stories? Head over to happynovels.com, where you'll find the complete collection in one spot. Now let's dive in. Chapter 1. The fog machines were already going at 6 in the morning. Sable pinched the bridge of her nose and counted to 5. Whoever had programmed the atmospheric effects for Eventide Gardens clearly believed that gothic ambiance meant 0 visibility before sunrise. "This is a deviation from protocol," Lieutenant Biscuit announced from somewhere near her left ankle. "Standard procedure dictates you remain off-site until 1900 hours. I have documentation." "I'm sure you do," Sable said, stepping carefully through the purple-tinged mist rolling across the vampire quarter's cobblestones. "I filed it with HR." The Pomeranian's tiny tactical vest emerged from the fog like an angry cloud gaining sentience. 3 copies. Color-coded tabs. "Biscuit, this isn't about the paperwork," he continued, trotting beside her with the intensity of a 4-pound soldier storming Normandy. "This is about public safety." Sable stopped walking. "Excuse me?" Biscuit sat down on the cobblestones, his fluffy tail curled around his paws with military precision. Even through the fog, she could see his tiny badge glinting against his chest fur. "You heard me," he said. "Public safety. I'm a threat to the public now?" "You're 3 days out from your lunar cycle." Biscuit's voice dropped to what he probably thought was a diplomatic tone. It wasn't. "Your wolf is operating at diminished impulse control. You've growled at 2 food vendors, a mime, and a decorative gargoyle since we arrived." The gargoyle was looking at me funny. "It's concrete." Sable started walking again. The cobblestones clicked under her boots as she navigated past the Crimson Crypt gift shop, still shuttered for the morning. The scent of fake fog fluid, glycerin and something that was supposed to smell like ancient tombs, but mostly smelled like a vanilla candle having an identity crisis, coated the back of her throat. "Aren't you supposed to be on my side?" she asked. "I am on your side." Biscuit's tiny legs worked overtime to keep pace. "That's why I'm protecting you from doing something you'll regret in a public venue with security cameras and a press event in—" He checked his non-existent watch. 13 hours. "It's a big event." Sable ducked under a low-hanging fake spider web that maintenance had installed too enthusiastically. "Important. VIP guests, council representatives, that billionaire who bought the land. We have to get it right. We could get it right from the comfort of your apartment, where there are no civilians for you to accidentally maul." "I'm not going to maul anyone. You bit a churro cart yesterday." "It rolled over my foot." "It was stationary." Sable didn't have a response for that one. The churro cart incident was unfortunate. In her defense, her wolf had been convinced the umbrella was a threat. They passed the cemetery carousel, its skeletal horses frozen mid-gallop in the early morning gloom. The ride wouldn't start running until noon, but someone had left the ambient soundtrack playing, pipe organ music mixed with distant wolf howls. Sable's wolf perked up at the sound, then realized it was fake and sulked. 3 more days, she reminded herself. 3 more days until the full moon, until her strength fully returned, until she could stop jumping at decorative gargoyles and attacking innocent churro carts. 2 years of hiding, 2 years of her wolf clawing at the edges of her control, weakened but never silent. 3 more days. "The Crimson Fang ride requires inspection," Biscuit announced, pulling her out of her thoughts. "Sector 7, reports of mechanical irregularities in the track system." Sable eyed the ride entrance ahead, a massive Gothic archway designed to look like a vampire's mouth, complete with dripping foam fangs and red LED lights pulsing in the recesses. The fog was thicker here, pooling around the queue barriers like something alive. "Since when do we inspect ride mechanics?" she asked. "Since the event tonight involves VIPs traversing this exact route." Sable approached the gaping vampire mouth. "I know you hate this ride." Biscuit stopped. His tiny body went rigid, and for a moment the only sound was the distant pipe organ and the hiss of fog machines. "I don't hate it," he said, with the careful dignity of a soldier being accused of cowardice. "I have professional concerns about the sensory interference. The artificial smoke, the strobe effects, the—" His voice dropped. "The jump scares. The jump scares. They compromise my detection capabilities." He turned to face her, his small chest puffed out. "I am a trained explosive detection specialist. My nose has been certified by 3 federal agencies. But in there," he jerked his fluffy head toward the vampire mouth, "in there, everything smells like dry ice and synthetic blood. I'm operating blind." "You could wait outside." "Absolutely not." Biscuit marched toward the entrance. "I don't abandon my partner. Ever. That's not what we do. That's not what I do. I am a professional." His voice cracked slightly on the last word. Sable bit the inside of her cheek to keep from smiling. "Okay, Lieutenant. Let's make it quick." They stepped through the vampire mouth. The ride's interior was somehow darker than the fog-choked morning outside. Emergency lights cast a dim red glow over the queue area, illuminating velvet ropes and walls painted to look like castle stone. Somewhere deeper in the building, the track system hummed on standby mode. Biscuit pressed close to Sable's ankle. She could feel him trembling through his tactical vest. "For the record," he whispered, "this ride violates 7 OSHA regulations regarding adequate lighting in employee access areas." "Noted. I've filed complaints." "I'm sure you have." They moved deeper into the ride, past the queue switchbacks, and toward the loading platform. Sable's boots echoed on the concrete floor. Her wolf was alert now, ears pricked at every shadow, which wasn't helpful because literally everything in here was shadows. A mechanical creak echoed from somewhere ahead. Biscuit's entire body seized up. What was that? Probably the track system. Or a vampire. There are no vampires, Biscuit. That's what they want you to think. He was fully pressed against her boot now, his fluff vibrating. For the record, I can't smell anything in here. Nothing. My primary detection system is completely compromised. If there's a bomb, I won't... The lights went out. Complete darkness, not even the red emergency glow. "Breach!" Biscuit shrieked. "Code black! Code!" The track system roared to life. Sable's wolf slammed to attention as the entire building shook. Somewhere in the darkness, gears ground and chains rattled, and ride cars began moving along the track with a metallic scream that shouldn't be happening. Not during standby, not without operators. Then the animatronics activated. Red eyes blazed to life along the walls. Skeleton arms burst from hidden panels. A vampire mannequin lunged from an alcove 3 feet to her left, mechanical jaw snapping open with a hiss of compressed air. Biscuit's bark hit a pitch only dolphins could appreciate. Sable spun toward the exit, but more skeletons were rising from the floor now. Part of the ride experience. She knew that, but her wolf didn't know anything except threat, 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 and the strobes were firing and fog was pouring from vents and a groan of metal above her. She looked up. The 12-foot skeleton centerpiece, the crown jewel of the Crimson Fang ride, a massive animatronic Count Dracula made of steel bones and hydraulic joints, was breaking free from its ceiling mount. Bolts popped like gunshots. Cables snapped and sparked. The thing had to weigh 500 pounds, and it was coming down directly on top of her. "Structural failure!" Biscuit screamed. "Evacuate! Evac!" Sable couldn't move. Her wolf had locked her legs, some ancient prey-freeze response she'd never experienced before, and the skeleton was falling, its steel ribcage plummeting toward her skull. Something slammed into her from the side, arms wrapped around her waist. She was airborne, then rolling, then hitting concrete hard enough to rattle her teeth. The skeleton crashed into the floor where she'd been standing with a sound like a car wreck. Metal shrieking, sparks exploding, hydraulic fluid spraying across the concrete. The strobes cut out. Emergency lights flickered back to life, casting everything in dim red. Sable lay on the concrete, breathing hard, her heart slamming against her ribs. There was a man on top of her, heavy, warm. His body was covering hers completely, one arm cradling the back of her head where it would have hit the floor. He'd protected her skull. Instinct. The instinct of someone who knew to shield another body. "Are you hurt?" His voice was low, rough, right against her ear. Sable opened her mouth to answer, and then she smelled him. Cedar, rain on stone, something darker underneath, something that made her wolf stop cowering and start prowling. Every nerve ending in her body lit up. Her skin went hot, then cold, then hot again. Her gums ached. No. Not now, not here, not 3 days before the full moon, when she had no control, no pack, no... The man pulled back slightly, his face coming into focus above her. Dark hair, sharp jaw, eyes that were probably beautiful when they weren't narrowed with concern. He was frowning now. "Are you okay?" His throat was right there, right there. Her wolf lunged. Sable felt her canines extend, not just a flash of fang, but the full drop, the claiming teeth she'd never used in her life. And before her human brain could form a single coherent objection, she buried them in the side of his neck, deep. The taste of him exploded across her tongue, blood and cedar and lightning, actual lightning, like biting into a storm. Her wolf howled in triumph. "Mate!" Something clicked into place inside her chest. Some lock she hadn't known existed slamming open, and power flooded through the connection, his power, alpha power, more than she'd ever felt. The man's whole body jerked. A sound tore out of him, not a scream, something raw. His hand fisted in her hair, and for one heartbeat, she felt his wolf surge toward hers, felt it recognize her through whatever chemical barrier he'd put up. Then he ripped her off him. Sable's back hit the concrete. He was on his feet in an instant, one hand clamped over his neck, blood streaming between his fingers. His eyes were wild, not angry, shocked. "What?" He staggered, caught himself on a maintenance railing. "What did you do?" Sable pushed herself up on her elbows. Her mouth tasted like him. Her wolf was purring so loudly she could barely think. "I don't..." Her voice came out hoarse. "I didn't mean... Sir!" Biscuit materialized from the fog, his tiny body planted firmly between Sable and the stranger. "Step back. Do not approach my human. Shut up!" The man wasn't looking at Biscuit. He was looking at Sable, at her mouth, at the blood on her lips. His blood, on her lips. Understanding dawned across his face. Horror followed half a second later. "That wasn't a bite," he said slowly. "That was a claim." Sable's stomach dropped. "Mate!" Her wolf howled again. She scrambled backward on the concrete. "I didn't... My wolf just... I can't control her right now. I'm 3 days out and she just took over. You marked me." His voice had gone flat. "Dangerous. You put a claim mark on my neck. It was an accident." "An accident." He laughed, and there was no humor in it. "You accidentally performed a mate claim. On a stranger. In a theme park." The doors exploded inward. Not opened. Exploded. Steel doors slamming against concrete walls as 6 massive figures poured into the ride building. Sable registered black tactical gear, night vision equipment, and the unmistakable bulk of shifted muscle barely contained in human skin. Private security, alpha-level private security. The wolves fanned out with military precision, forming a perimeter around the destroyed skeleton and the 2 people covered in hydraulic fluid and blood. The largest of them, 6'5" at least, with shoulders like a refrigerator, moved directly to the man. "Sir," his voice was a bass rumble, "we felt the distress call. What's your status?" Distress call. His wolf had sent a distress call. Even through whatever suppressant he was on, the claim had triggered a pack emergency response, which meant this man wasn't just wealthy, he was an alpha, a pack alpha. And she just put her teeth in his throat without permission. The massive security wolf turned toward Sable. His nostrils flared. His eyes dropped to her mouth, still stained with blood, then tracked to his alpha's neck, where the bite mark was clearly visible despite the hand pressed against it. She watched him recognize what he was seeing. "That's a claim mark," he said. 2 more security wolves moved to flank Sable. She was still on the ground, still in her basic security uniform, still processing the fact that she'd just committed what amounted to supernatural assault on one of the most powerful men she'd ever encountered. "Did she bite you, sir? Do you think the Pomeranian could have done this?" "No, sir." He glanced down at Biscuit. "Hey, I'm a certified professional," Biscuit barked. "And for the record, it was dark, and your alpha came out of nowhere, and Sable understandably reacted to the collision, and her teeth accidentally connected with his neck." "Fangs, not teeth," the private security man corrected. "And I don't have to talk to a dog." He turned and looked at the alpha. "An unconsented claim on a pack alpha is grounds for immediate pack justice." He paused. "Unless you accept the bond." Silence. Sable's heart stopped. Pack justice. She knew what that meant. Every wolf knew what that meant. An unaccepted claim was treated as an attack, an act of aggression against pack leadership. The punishment was swift and non-negotiable. Biscuit pressed closer to her leg. She could feel him trembling, but his voice didn't waver. "My partner acted in a compromised neurological state due to a significant astronomical cycle," he announced. "I have documentation of her condition. This is a medical matter, not a criminal one. I formally request enough." The alpha stepped forward. The security wolves parted for him, even bleeding, even unsteady from whatever the claim had done to his suppressed wolf. He moved like someone who'd never been questioned in his life. He stopped directly in front of Sable. She looked up at him, at the blood still dripping down his neck. At the mark, her mark, already darkening against his skin like a brand. She could see his wolf now, suppressed but fierce, looking at her wolf with glowing eyes. She wondered if he could feel her wolf at all. Then she had her question answered. Through the newly connected bond, he asked, "I don't want to kill you. Need to talk." She nodded. What else could she do? One signal from him and his security would eat her alive. The security cleared his throat. "Sir, we need your decision." The alpha didn't look away from Sable. "Decision," he repeated flatly. "On the claim. Do you reject it?" Sable felt the air pressure change. Every wolf in the room went still, waiting. If he rejected the claim, she was dead. Maybe not literally. The council frowned on executions, but close enough. Pack justice for an unconsented claim meant imprisonment at best, worse at worst. She'd survived the massacre of her pack, survived years of hiding, of rebuilding her strength crumb by crumb, survived everything the world had thrown at her, and now she was going to lose it all because her wolf couldn't keep her teeth to herself. The alpha stared at her. Sable stared back. Biscuit's tiny body pressed against her calf, a warm, trembling weight. "Sir," the security prompted, "do you reject the claim?" Chapter 2. Ash Huxley stared at the woman who had just ruined his life. Tall, lean, athletic, dark hair escaping from a practical ponytail, blood, his blood, smeared across her mouth like she'd been eating something raw. Beautiful brown eyes, intelligent, stubborn, compelling, a face that made his fingers itch. He wanted to touch those cheekbones, plant a kiss on those lips. She'd claimed him. This woman, this theme park security guard, had put a mate mark on his neck like she was stamping a parking validation. Through the chemical haze of his suppressants, Ash couldn't feel her wolf before. He'd spent 18 months and a small fortune making sure he couldn't feel anyone's wolf, including his own. The treatments were experimental, expensive, and absolutely necessary for a man who needed to choose his mate with his head instead of his animal instincts. But the claim had punched through something. He could see her now, faintly, like looking through frosted glass, a flicker of silver where her wolf should be. Damaged, dim, but there, pressed against the edges of his awareness like a stray cat demanding entry. His wolf stirred. Ash shoved it back down. None of that mattered now. What mattered was the 6 members of his security team standing in a loose circle around them, waiting for his command. Nathan, his beta, had positioned himself at Ash's shoulder. The others had the woman boxed in. One word from him, and this ended. One confirmation that the claim was unconsented, and pack law would handle the rest. She'd be detained, tried by counsel, and sentenced to whatever punishment they deemed appropriate for a wolf who'd put her teeth in an alpha without permission. Ash looked at her. She looked back. No tears, no begging. Just steady, dark eyes, and a Pomeranian pressed against her leg like a tiny orange shield. The Pomeranian was growling. It sounded like an angry cotton ball. It could have run, but instead, it stood its ground, planted its tiny 4 feet on the concrete, as if that would make a difference to its owner's situation. His wolf stirred again, restless, interested. Ash ignored it. "Sir." Nathan's voice was carefully neutral. "Your decision?" The woman's jaw tightened. She knew what was coming. Of course she did. Any wolf would know. The Pomeranian's growl intensified. "Fine," Ash said. Nathan blinked. "Sir?" "I said fine." Ash pressed his hand harder against the bite mark. "She didn't attack me. The skeleton was malfunctioning. She was in danger. I intervened. The bite was—" He searched for a word that wasn't catastrophic. "Incidental." Silence. The security team exchanged glances. Ash could feel their confusion pressing against his awareness, even through the suppressants. 6 wolves who had just watched their alpha get claimed by a stranger, and now he was saying fine? "Sir." Nathan stepped closer, lowering his voice. "That's not just a bite. That's a mate claim. The mark is already setting." His eyes dropped to Ash's neck, then back to his face. "Are you saying you accept it?" "I'm saying it's fine." With respect, that's not an answer. Nathan's jaw tightened. "If you accept the claim, she's pack. She's Luna. If you reject it, I know what rejection means." The word hung in the air like a grenade with the pin pulled. Luna, the alpha's mate, the female who stood beside him, led beside him, carried the weight of pack leadership on her shoulders. Ash looked at the woman again. She was watching him with an expression he couldn't read. Not hopeful, not afraid, just waiting. "The claim stands," he growled, letting enough alpha authority into his voice to end the conversation. "I'm not rejecting it. Now go." Nathan hesitated. "The timing, sir." He sighed and paused for a beat. "Ash, I'm not saying this as your beta. I'm saying this as a friend. The timing is not ideal for the press announcement tonight." "I'm aware. I'll let you know my decision." "What do you want us to tell the pack?" "Nothing for now." Nathan nodded slowly. "Understood." He turned to the rest of the team. "You heard the alpha. This doesn't leave the room. Move out!" The security wolves filed toward the exit. One of them paused near the woman, near Sable, according to her name tag, and gave her a look that was equal parts suspicion and grudging respect. Then he was gone, and the massive doors swung shut behind them. He was alone with her now. "Your neck was in the wrong place at the wrong time." That wasn't her talking. He looked down. That came from the tiny orange fur ball standing next to her. The dog confirmed. "Yes, it's me talking. I speak 4 languages and 5 if you count voice of reason. You can call me Lieutenant Biscuit, and I am head of risk assessment, threat neutralization, and owner management." He paused. "The last one is the hardest." Ash had heard this dog speak before, but hardly paid attention. "You're saying it was my fault, little dog?" "Pardon the adjective regarding my size, because it reflects nothing about my capabilities." Biscuit's tiny chest puffed out. "It was nobody's fault. That's a matter between your neck and her fangs. The collision was unavoidable. The claiming was biological. I have documentation on lunar proximity effects if you'd like to review the science." "Biscuit," Sable started. "Don't speak, Sable. Don't say anything that might harm your defense and can be used against you. I am representing you now. Biscuit turned his fluffy head toward her. You are in a state of shock because of the effect of his alpha blood, so wipe the blood off your mouth. We shall leave, regroup, and respond to his questions later. I haven't asked her any questions, Ash said. You will, and we will respond. She's not in her right mind right now, hasn't been for the last 48 hours, and won't be for the next 24. These are documented medical facts. I have the paperwork. Ash pinched the bridge of his nose. He was being managed by a Pomeranian. This was his life now. I have an important event tonight, he said. My team won't say anything to the public, but this issue will come out. Questions will be asked. We need to address it by tonight, I understand. Sable finally spoke, her voice steadier than he expected. She wiped the blood from her mouth with the back of her hand. Biscuit's right. I'm a bit shaky right now. Sorry about the bite. Give me an hour. Then we'll talk. Ash nodded. 35 years in business, and he'd let a woman and a tiny orange fur ball come up with an immediate solution to the problem. He wasn't sure who wasn't in their right mind anymore. He pulled out his business card. An hour would be great. Here's my direct number. Sable took the card. Their fingers brushed. His wolf lunged toward the contact so hard Ash nearly stumbled. He nodded a goodbye and strode out of the Crimson Fang before he did something stupid. Like touch her again, like pull her close and find out if her mouth tasted as good as her bite had felt. Get it together, Huxley. The drive home took 20 minutes. Ash spent the first 15 staring out the window, replaying the moment of the bite in excruciating detail. The weight of her body beneath his, the heat of her breath against his throat. The sharp pain that had dissolved into something else entirely, something his suppressed wolf had lunged toward like a drowning man reaching for air. He placed a video call to Helena. She answered on the second ring. As soon as her beautiful face appeared on screen, she smiled. You look troubled. A good kind of trouble, Ash. Define good. The afterglow kind of good. Is it that obvious? Yeah. Helena's smile widened. You have mate claim written all over your face, Ash. What happened? We're supposed to announce our engagement tonight. You're going to be my chosen mate, Helena. That's the plan. A 5-year plan that we've talked about for... Was the plan, Ash. Helena tilted her head. As of. How long ago were you claimed? He sank into the sofa and checked his watch. An hour and a half. I don't know. I'll be generous and say 2 hours. And you're already calling me instead of trying out different scenarios and solutions. She laughed softly. You're in more trouble than you think. Tell me what happened. Not much to tell, really. I went to the theme park to check out the site for tonight's event. In one of the rides. Don't tell me you went into the vampire ride. Always your favorite. Helena. She held up her hands. Right, sorry. It's your story to tell. But if you're going to say that you went into the ride, she came out of nowhere. You both collided with each other, and boom, her wolf claimed you. Then it's classic. Classic how? Classic fated mate romance. The only reason your wolf hasn't claimed her back is because you've suppressed it. You don't know that, Helena. You're right. I don't know that for sure. I haven't met her. Helena's expression softened. But I know one thing. Regardless of what the human thinks, no wolf spirit claims a stranger in a theme park for no reason. The human mind doesn't know what the wolf spirit knows. She paused. Isn't that the very reason you suppress your wolf? Because you don't trust it to choose wisely? It's different, Helena. Decisions I make affect my life and those around me. Those I'm responsible for. The decision of who stands beside me to lead the pack cannot be left to animal instinct. Your wolf gives you strength. Half my strength, Helena. Details, she waved a hand. But let's work this out. The current plan. We announce me as your chosen mate tonight. We get married next month. When the business merger is done and you've secured your position in the pack, we turn around and stick our middle fingers at the Wolf Council, divorce, and go live our lives. She leaned back in her chair. That was the plan when you had no other options. But now? Ash said nothing. Now you have options, Ash. Helena's voice gentled. Here's a better plan. You open yourself up. Let your wolf free to see if it claims her back. If it does, congratulations. You found your fated mate at last. The council can't argue with a true mate bond. Your position is secure, the merger goes through, and you actually get to be happy. She smiled. Worst case scenario? Your wolf rejects her. Then you quietly part ways, just like what you planned with me. But I trust you with my life, Helena. If I say I trust Sable the same way, whether or not we are fated mates, then I'm a freaking idiot and I don't deserve to lead the pack. Trust plays no role in this, Ash. Soulmates are the domain of higher powers. If you truly find a soulmate, consider yourself lucky. Take it and live with it, for better or worse. If Sable turns out to be a bad character, she's still your soulmate. She hurts you, she hurts herself too, because you're connected by the mate bond. How do you know all that? Research. Truckloads of research, like a PhD level of research. Helena grinned. Because this is important to you, and you're my best friend. I know you well enough to know you'd make a terrible fake boyfriend. Once we sort out your mate problem, I can be free to live my life and marry my man. Ash buried his head in his hands. I'm such a dickhead, Helena. I'm so wrapped up in my own problems, I totally forgot you have a life and a fiancé to take care of. Helena winked. No worries. You think I haven't told Nick every detail of this? Not only does he know, he's demanding a documentary about our 6-week fake dating plan because he thinks it's hilarious. Ash let out a breath that was almost a laugh. This isn't how tonight was supposed to go. No, Helena agreed. It's better. She studied him through the screen. What's she like? Ash thought about dark eyes that didn't flinch, about a jaw that tightened with pride instead of fear, about a Pomeranian in a tactical vest who'd stood between his owner and 6 apex predators without hesitation. Stubborn, he said. Proud. She didn't beg, didn't cry, just waited to see if I'd let her die. But you didn't. No. Because? Ash touched the mark on his neck. It throbbed under his fingers, warm and alive. I don't know, he admitted. I looked at her and I just couldn't. Helena was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was soft. That's how it starts, Ash. That's exactly how it starts. Helena, talk to her. See what she wants to do. You may or may not want to let your wolf see her before tonight's event, but promise me something. What? Before you make any permanent decisions, let your wolf see her. Really see her. Helena's eyes held his through the screen. You've been running from fate for 18 months. Give it a chance. I have a good feeling about this. Ash didn't answer. I have to go, Helena said. It's 3 a.m. here, and unlike some people, I don't have supernatural stamina. She smiled. Call me tomorrow. Tell me how it goes. Helena. He caught her before she could end the call. Thank you for understanding. We've been friends for 20 years, Ash. I know you better than anyone. Her smile turned wry. I always knew you'd find her eventually. I just didn't expect it to happen in a vampire ride. The call ended. Ash sat alone in his penthouse, the city sprawling beyond his windows, his neck throbbing with the mark of a woman he'd known for less than 2 hours. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Sable. Biscuit says to tell you we're ready to talk whenever you are. He's also drafted a preliminary incident report and wants to know if you prefer digital or hard copy. Despite everything, Ash smiled. He typed back, Digital is fine. Meet me at the park in 1 hour. Main office. Her response came immediately. Understood. Biscuit wants you to know he's bringing documentation. Of course he is. Ash set down his phone and stared at the ceiling. 1 hour. 1 hour until he saw her again. His wolf, even through the suppressants, was already counting the minutes. Chapter 3. Sable had faced down rogue wolves, survived a pack massacre, and once disarmed a drunk vampire who'd wandered into the haunted hayride with a real machete. None of that had prepared her for sitting across from Ash Huxley in his corner office, while her wolf purred like a broken radiator. Mate, mate, pretty mate, touch him. Sable told her wolf to shut up. Her wolf did not shut up. Ash sat behind a desk that probably cost more than her annual salary. The morning light caught the angles of his face, sharp jaw, dark eyes, the kind of cheekbones that belonged on magazine covers. His neck was bandaged now, white gauze covering her mark, and something primal in her chest growled at the sight of it hidden. Our mark, ours. Why is he covering it? Rude. So, Ash said, folding his hands on the desk. Here's what I'm proposing. Sable straightened in her chair. Professional. She could be professional. She was a professional. She had not spent the last hour replaying the taste of his blood on her tongue. Much. Tonight's event is critical, Ash continued. The Wolf Council expects me to announce my chosen mate. Pack representatives will be present. Press. Business partners. He paused. Originally, that announcement was going to be someone else. The childhood friend, Sable said. Helena! Something flickered in his expression. You know about that? Biscuit briefed me. She glanced down at the Pomeranian sitting at attention beside her chair. He's thorough. I conducted a full background investigation during the car ride, Biscuit announced. Public records, social media analysis, and a deep dive into his corporate holdings. He owns 17 properties across 3 continents, has a troubling preference for modern architecture, and his last girlfriend was a supermodel who now lives in Monaco. He paused. I have concerns about his interior design choices, but his financials are sound. Ash stared at the dog. Sable bit the inside of her cheek. Moving on, Ash said slowly. The plan with Helena is off the table, obviously. He touched his neck, then dropped his hand. You've already claimed me. The pack will see the mark tonight. There's no hiding it. So what are you proposing? I announce you as my mate. Publicly, tonight. Sable's stomach dropped. Yes, her wolf howled. Announce us. Tell everyone. We are his, and he is ours, and... I'll shield you from the press, Ash continued, apparently unaware of the internal chaos happening across his desk. You won't have to answer questions. You stand beside me, smile when appropriate, and let me handle the talking. And the claiming? Sable asked. You haven't claimed me back. No, I haven't. The words hung in the air. Her wolf went quiet, suddenly uncertain. I'll explain to the council that I'm saving my claim for the official ceremony, Ash said. It's traditional. Expected even. A formal claiming next month, witnessed by pack leadership. Sable frowned. What do you mean, official ceremony? It's what humans would call a wedding. The word landed like a brick. Wedding, wedding. Is this? Sable heard her own voice from very far away. Is this for real? Ash leaned back in his chair. For a moment, he just looked at her. Really looked, like he was trying to read something in her face. It's not real, he said finally. But it's not fake either. That's not an answer. I know. He ran a hand through his hair, and for the first time he looked almost tired. I've suppressed my wolf for 18 months. There are reasons for that, important reasons, and I want to keep it suppressed, at least long enough to get through tonight. He met her eyes. I don't want to offend you, but I'd like to treat this evening as a business arrangement. Sable should have been insulted. She wasn't. Relief flooded through her so fast she almost laughed. A business arrangement, something with rules, something she could navigate without her wolf trying to climb the man like a tree. I prefer that too, she said. Ash blinked. You do? This happened fast. Too fast. Sable folded her arms across her chest. A business arrangement gives me time to think. I don't want to rush into a decision this important just because my wolf has impulse control issues. Hey, Biscuit interjected. I've been saying that for months. Ash's mouth twitched, almost a smile. Good, he said. Then we're agreed. I'll make the arrangements. Call your supervisor to ensure your employment situation stays confidential. The last thing either of us needs is theme park security guard claims Billionaire Alpha as a headline. Appreciated. The council is expecting me to announce my chosen mate tonight. Ash stood, moving toward the window. The city sprawled behind him, all glass and steel and money. They've never met Helena. They won't know the difference. Instead of her, tonight, it's you. Sable stood too. And after tonight, we figure it out as we go. He turned to face her, one step at a time. It wasn't a promise, it wasn't a plan, it was barely even a strategy. But it was something. Okay, Sable said. I'm in. Ash nodded. Then he reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a black credit card. For tonight, he said, holding it out. You'll need something appropriate to wear. Get whatever you need. Hair, dress, shoes. He waved vaguely. Whatever women need for these things. Sable looked at the card, then at him. "I'm not really a dress person," she said. "Tonight you are." She took the card. It was heavier than she expected, or maybe that was just the weight of what it represented. "I have meetings until 5, Ash said. "The event starts at 7. My driver will pick you up at 6:30. Don't be late." "I'm never late." "Good." He was already moving toward the door, already shifting back into billionaire alpha mode, the brief vulnerability of their conversation tucking itself away behind that polished exterior. "I'll see you tonight, Sable." He said her name like he was trying it out, testing how it felt in his mouth. Her wolf purred. Then he was gone. Sable stood in the empty office, staring at the credit card in her hand. "Well," Biscuit said, "that was unexpected." "Which part?" "All of it, but primarily the part where you agreed to impersonate the Luna of one of the most powerful packs on the eastern seaboard with approximately—" he checked his non-existent watch. 7 hours of preparation time. Sable's throat tightened. "When you put it like that?" "I'm putting it like that because that's what it is." Biscuit stood up, his tiny tactical vest catching the light. "We need to move now. Every minute we waste is a minute we don't have for crisis management." "It's just a dress, Biscuit." The Pomeranian fixed her with a look of absolute devastation. "Just a dress," he repeated. "Just a dress." He took a breath. "Sable, you are about to walk into a room full of apex predators who will be evaluating every inch of you. Your posture, your clothing, your eye contact, the way you hold a champagne glass, whether your nail polish coordinates with your undertones." He started pacing, his tiny feet clicking on the hardwood. "This is not just a dress. This is psychological warfare, and you are going in unarmed. I have you. I am 4 pounds." He stopped pacing. "I am a Pomeranian in a tactical vest. I cannot carry a clutch, I cannot fix your lipstick, and I definitely cannot reach the zipper if you have a wardrobe malfunction." Sable pressed her fingers against her temples. Okay, so we go shopping, we get a dress. How hard can it be?" Biscuit stared at her. "That," he said quietly, "is the most terrifying thing you've ever said." The first boutique lasted 11 minutes. "No!" Biscuit's voice echoed through the marble-floored showroom. "Absolutely not. Take it off." Sable looked down at herself. The dress was red, floor-length, strapless. She thought it was fine. What's wrong with it? What's right with it? Biscuit was standing on a velvet ottoman, having commandeered it as his command center. "The color is wrong for your skin tone. The cut emphasizes nothing and somehow diminishes everything. And the fabric—" He shuddered. "Is that polyester? Is that polyester masquerading as silk? This is a criminal offense." "It's a dress. It's a capitulation." Biscuit turned to the hovering sales associate, a thin woman who'd made the mistake of asking if he was a cute little emotional support animal. He was still not over it. "Bring me everything you have in midnight blue, forest green, or black," he commanded. "Fabrics, silk, velvet, or quality satin only. No sequins, no excessive beading. No—" He eyed a nearby mannequin with disgust. "No, whatever that is. Sir, I'm not sure we take requests from decorated security professionals with extensive crisis management experience." Biscuit's tiny chest puffed. "I have clearance levels you couldn't dream of. I have sat in briefings with federal agents. I have personally sniffed more suspicious packages than you've sold overpriced handbags. Bring me the dresses." The sales associate fled. Sable sagged against the dressing room doorframe. "Biscuit, we have 6 hours." "Which is why we don't have time for polyester." Boutique 2 was worse. "The slit is too high," Biscuit announced. "You'll flash the entire Wolf Council when you sit down." "I'll be careful. You'll be Luna. Careful isn't good enough." Next. Boutique 3 had promise until Biscuit discovered the price tags. $400 for this? This? He pawed at the hem of a cocktail dress. "I've seen better construction on a churro cart, and I should know." Sable bit one last week. "Can we not bring that up? It's relevant to the quality assessment." Next. By Boutique 4, Sable was ready to commit a crime. "I'm wearing my uniform," she announced. "I'm wearing my security polo and my cargo pants, and if the Wolf Council doesn't like it, they can—" "No." "Biscuit, I said no." The Pomeranian planted himself in front of the boutique entrance, 4 pounds of absolute refusal. You are not walking into the most important night of your life. It's not the most important. Dressed like you're about to check someone's bag for contraband. You are a warrior, Sable. You survived a massacre. You rebuilt yourself from nothing. You are strong and capable, and you deserve to walk into that room looking like what you are. His tiny voice cracked. A queen! Sable stared at him. That was really sweet, Biscuit. I have layers, he sniffed. Now get in there and try on the emerald velvet. 3rd rack from the left, and stand up straight. You're slouching again. The emerald velvet was something. Sable stood in front of the 3-way mirror, not entirely recognizing the woman looking back at her. The dress was simple. Long sleeves, high neck, floor-length skirt with a subtle slit that Biscuit had personally measured for council-appropriate positioning. The fabric moved like water, catching the light in waves of deep green. She looked elegant. She looked like someone who belonged next to a billionaire alpha. Her wolf, for once, was quiet, just watching, pleased. Well? She asked. Biscuit was silent for a long moment. The color complements your undertones, he said finally, his voice suspiciously thick. The cut elongates your silhouette. The neckline is sophisticated without being matronly. He paused. You look like a Luna. Sable swallowed. Is that good? That's everything. She bought the dress. Shoes took another 45 minutes and 2 near incidents, one involving Biscuit and a display of stilettos he deemed structural hazards, and another involving a sales associate who'd tried to put him in a carrier. That associate was probably still recovering. Hair and makeup happened in a salon Biscuit had researched during the drive, his tiny paws somehow operating her phone with terrifying efficiency. No smoky eye, he instructed the makeup artist, who was clearly questioning every life choice that had led her to this moment. She's not a temptress. She's a Luna. Think powerful but approachable. Think, I could destroy you but I choose not to. Think, Biscuit. Sable closed her eyes. Please let the professional work. I am also a professional. In multiple fields. This is just one of them. The makeup artist looked at Sable in the mirror. Sable shrugged. He has documentation. By 5:30, Sable was standing in her apartment, fully dressed, fully made up, and fully terrified. The woman in her mirror was a stranger, elegant, polished, the kind of woman who probably knew which fork to use for salad and didn't bite billionaires in theme park rides. Posture check, Biscuit announced. He'd positioned himself on her bed, overseeing operations like a tiny general. Shoulders back, chin up. You're not apologizing for existing, you're gracing them with your presence. Sable adjusted her shoulders. Better. Now, let's review protocol. Biscuit had produced a stack of index cards from somewhere. She'd stopped asking. When you enter the room, who do you look at first? Ash. Correct. You're his mate. Your attention goes to him. Not the council, not the press, not the interesting hors d'oeuvres. There will be hors d'oeuvres? Focus. Biscuit shuffled his cards. If someone asks about your background, keep it vague. Security consulting, private sector. If someone asks about the claiming, redirect to Ash. He handles the narrative. If someone insults you, smile. Don't engage. Make a mental note for later revenge. Sable raised an eyebrow. Is that in your official protocol? That's in my personal protocol. I've added supplementary guidelines. Biscuit set down his cards. You're going to be fine, Sable. I'm going to be a disaster. You're going to be a magnificent disaster. He hopped down from the bed and trotted over to her. And I'm going to be right there with you. Sable looked down at him. You're coming? I'm your security detail, your emotional support, your crisis management consultant. He sat up straight, his tactical vest gleaming. Also, someone needs to monitor the threat level, and those German shepherds he employs have no subtlety whatsoever. Biscuit. Plus, I already coordinated with his team. I have clearance. He produced a tiny laminated badge from his vest. It read, Lieutenant Biscuit, Special Operations, All Access. When did you... During hair and makeup, you were distracted by the curling iron. Sable didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She settled for reaching down and scratching behind his ears. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for all of this." Biscuit leaned into the scratch, his professional demeanor cracking just slightly. "You're my partner," he said. "I don't abandon my partner. Ever." Her phone buzzed. A text from Ash. "Driver's outside. Ready?" Sable looked at herself in the mirror one more time. At the emerald dress and the elegant hair and the face that somehow looked like it belonged to someone who had her life together. She typed back, "Ready." She wasn't, but she was going anyway. Chapter 4. She walked in, and Ash forgot how to breathe. The emerald dress moved like water over her body, catching the light with every step. Her dark hair was swept up, exposing the line of her neck, and her shoulders were squared like she was walking into battle instead of a party. She was. Ash's wolf slammed against his suppressant so hard his vision flickered. He gripped his champagne glass hard enough that the stem creaked. Beside Sable, Lieutenant Biscuit trotted with military precision, his tiny legs working overtime to match her stride. He ditched the tactical vest for something that looked almost like a formal bow tie, but his expression remained pure soldier, eyes scanning the crowd, assessing threats, cataloging exits. A woman in diamonds reached down to pat him. "Oh, what a precious little—" Biscuit's lip curled back from his teeth. The woman yanked her hand away. Another guest made cooing sounds in his direction. Biscuit's growl intensified. Sable kept walking, her eyes finding Ash across the room. Something electric passed between them. His wolf howled, and he shoved it back down. Ash set down his champagne and moved. The crowd parted for him. They always did. But tonight he barely noticed. His entire focus had narrowed to the woman in green crossing the marble floor toward him. She stopped 3 feet away. "You look great," he said. Biscuit picked it out. Her voice was steady, but he caught the slight tremor underneath. Nerves. She was terrified and hiding it beautifully. "Biscuit has good taste." "Biscuit has opinions," the Pomeranian muttered from ankle height. "There's a difference." The first camera flash went off. Ash shifted automatically, positioning his body between Sable and the press pool. His hand found the small of her back, warm through the velvet, and he guided her toward the main hall. "Smile," he murmured against her ear. "Don't make eye contact with the cameras. Let me do the talking." "I know how to handle press. You know how to handle drunk tourists stealing prop bones. This is different." "Is it?" She glanced up at him, one eyebrow raised. "Entitled people wanting things they shouldn't have? Sounds exactly the same." Despite everything, Ash smiled. The reporters surged forward. "Mr. Huxley, is this the announcement we've been expecting? Who is your companion? Can we get a name? Is it true the Wolf Council demanded you take a mate before the merger?" Ash fielded them like tennis balls, his answers smooth and practiced. Yes, there would be an announcement tonight. His companion preferred privacy. The council's expectations were a private pack matter. Child's play. He'd been doing this since he was 16, standing beside his father at press conferences, learning how to say nothing while appearing to say everything. The reporters got their sound bites, the cameras got their shots, and Sable remained a mystery, exactly as planned. "You're good at this," she said quietly as they moved past the press line. "I've had practice." "It shows." She paused. "It's almost unsettling." "Only almost?" "I've seen you bleeding on a theme park floor. Hard to be fully unsettled after that." Ash laughed. Actually laughed. Several nearby pack members turned to stare. He couldn't remember the last time he'd laughed at one of these events. The Wolf Council representatives were waiting near the grand staircase. 3 of them, old power, old money, old traditions. Elder Vance with his silver hair and assessing eyes, Elder Miriam, whose grandchildren ran half the Western Territories, and Elder Solomon, who'd been ancient when Ash's father was still a pup. "Alpha Huxley." Elder Vance inclined his head. "We were informed you have news for us tonight." Vance's gaze slid to Sable, cataloging everything, her posture, her dress, the mark hidden beneath Ash's collar. "And who might this be?" "Sable." She stepped forward before Ash could answer, her chin lifted. "I won't reveal information about my pack tonight. Not for another week, and I ask you to respect my privacy and not inquire further." Silence. Elder Miriam's lips twitched. Refreshing. I can usually tell which pack someone belongs to before they introduce themselves, but not now, not a faint clue. "Unusual," Elder Solomon countered, "and you are not under suppressant." She shook her head and smiled. "That's why I can bite," and it was quite bloody. Ash placed a hand on the still throbbing bite mark. "And painful." He paused. "In a good way." More silence. Ash felt his heart stop. Had he really just said that out loud? Then Elder Miriam laughed, a genuine, delighted sound that transformed her severe face. "Oh, I like her." The claiming was unconventional, Ash said carefully, but legitimate. The bond is forming. Forming. Elder Vance's eyes narrowed. "You haven't claimed her back." "I'm saving it for the formal ceremony next month." "Traditional," Elder Solomon acknowledged. "Your father would have approved." The words landed like a punch to the chest. Ash kept his expression neutral. "The pack will want to meet her," Elder Vance continued. "Properly, Aluna must be known." "She will be. Tonight is just the introduction." "Then introduce her." Vance gestured toward the crowded ballroom. "We'll be watching, Alpha. As always." They melted back into the crowd, leaving Ash and Sable alone on the edge of the dance floor. "That went well," Sable said. "Better than I hoped for, thank you." The announcement went smoothly. Ash stood at the microphone, Sable beside him, and delivered the words he'd rehearsed in the car. His mate, his future Luna, a formal claiming ceremony next month in accordance with tradition. A few gasps rippled through the crowd, those who'd been expecting Helena probably, but they faded quickly. The pack surged forward afterward, eager to meet her, and Ash watched as Sable handled them with a grace he hadn't expected. She remembered names, asked questions, listened to answers like they mattered. An elderly pack member, Mrs. Chen, whose late husband had served Ash's father, clasped Sable's hands and said something that made her laugh. Not a polite laugh, a real one. Ash's wolf stirred, but he barely noticed. He couldn't ignore the warmth spreading through his chest as he watched her work the room. She could do this. She could actually do this. Not because of training or background or political connections, because of who she was. Intelligent, gracious, genuine. She could be his Luna. The thought hit him like a physical blow. This wasn't his wolf's opinion. This was his own. His human brain making its own assessment, reaching its own conclusion. He was starting to like her. A lot. What if I let my wolf free, he thought suddenly, and it rejects her? The possibility had never occurred to him before. He'd been so focused on controlling his wolf, on making rational decisions, on not letting instinct override logic. But what if logic and instinct disagreed? What if his human heart wanted her and his wolf didn't? What then? Before he could complete the thought, the orchestra conductor stepped up to the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, the traditional first dance. Please welcome Alpha Huxley and his mate to the floor." The crowd parted. A spotlight clicked on, and Ash felt Sable go rigid beside him. Through the bond, still new, still fragile, but growing stronger by the hour, he felt her panic slam into him like a wave. "I don't dance." Her voice in his head, clear as if she'd spoken aloud. Ash kept his expression neutral, smiled for the crowd, offered her his hand. "Follow my lead," he sent back. "You'll be fine. I am not fine." Her mental voice was edged with genuine terror. "I don't dance. I have never danced. I once broke a man's foot at a wedding because I don't dance. It's tradition. We have to. If you push me onto that dance floor, my wolf will panic. And when my wolf panics, she bites things. We've established this." Ash's smile was starting to feel strained. The crowd was waiting. The spotlight was burning. The orchestra had their bows raised. Sable's voice echoed in his head via their bond. "I'm barely holding it together. If you make me waltz in front of 200 apex predators, someone is getting their throat ripped out. Probably you." Again. A bead of sweat rolled down Ash's spine. He had no idea what to do. "Mr. Huxley?" The DJ appeared at his elbow, face pale. "We have a problem." Ash turned. "What kind of problem?" "The music, all the cables, the main system, the backups, everything." The DJ gestured helplessly toward the sound booth. "They're gone. Just gone." They were there 5 minutes ago, and now, a flash of orange at the far end of the ballroom. Ash's eyes tracked the movement, a small figure, low to the ground, sprinting toward a service exit with a tangle of cables clamped in its tiny jaws. Lieutenant Biscuit disappeared through the door. Ash said nothing. He made a mental note to create a formal position for that dog, something with a title, maybe a corner office. "Technical difficulties," he announced to the waiting crowd, his voice carrying easily across the room. "The dance will be postponed while we sort out the equipment. Please enjoy the refreshments." The crowd murmured. The spotlight clicked off. Beside him, Sable exhaled. "I owe Biscuit my life," she sent through the bond. "You owe him a promotion. He's going to be insufferable about this for weeks." Nathan materialized at Ash's shoulder. His beta's face was carefully blank, but Ash knew that expression. "Bad news incoming." "Sir? A word." They stepped away from the crowd into the shadow of a marble column. Sable followed, her hand still tucked in Ash's elbow. "What is it?" "We've received a threat." Nathan kept his voice low. "Credible. The rival pack, the Blackwoods, they're making a move." "Tonight? Now." A gunshot cracked through the ballroom. Screams erupted. The crowd scattered. Ash shoved Sable behind him as his security team converged, weapons drawn, forming a protective circle. "West entrance!" someone shouted. "Shooters at the west entrance! Silver bullets! Silver gas!" "Marcus is down," Nathan reported, his hand pressed to his earpiece. "Shoulder wound. They're advancing." Ash's mind snapped into combat mode. Civilians, press, pack members. 200 people in a room with hostiles incoming. "Get everyone to the East Wing," he ordered. "Lock it down. Let the human press go." They don't want to hurt humans. They don't want to kill. They want to capture. Protect the elders. I'll draw them away. "Sir, I'm the target, Nathan. They want me. If I leave, they'll follow." "Ash!" Sable's voice cut through the chaos. "What are you doing?" "Taking the car, leading them away from the civilians." He gripped her shoulders. "Nathan will protect you. Stay with him." "I don't need protection." "Sable, I'm serious." Her eyes blazed. "I've survived things you can't imagine. I don't need your beta babysitting me. You're not a theme park security guard anymore." Ash's voice came out rougher than he intended. "You're a Luna, my Luna, and I need you safe." Something flickered in her expression. Surprise, warmth. Then her jaw set. Is this still a business arrangement? "Really? Is this the time to ask that question, Sable?" She locked eyes with him. "Answer me, Ash." "Yes." "Then follow me. I'll get you out of here." She squared her shoulders. "Because I'm a professional." Biscuit appeared at her heels, bow tie askew, but expression fierce. "We're professionals, and you're under our protection in this theme park, with the only exception being the incident with the skeleton." He nodded curtly. "Follow what Sable says." "You'll be fine." Sable kicked off her heels, strappy Valentino stilettos that glinted gold under the emergency lights, letting her feet plant firmly on the marble floor. "That's a Valentino rock stud!" Biscuit yelped. "Limited edition!" Sable grabbed the side of her elegant floor-length dress and tore it, splitting the velvet to mid-thigh on the left. Biscuit shrieked. "That's a custom Marquesa! You could ride in it. Just roll it up." "Follow me." Sable ran. Ash asked no questions. He followed her. Not because he was worried about what was going on. His team could handle this. He was falling in love, and he was following his heart. They cut through the back door of a ride he couldn't make out in the darkness. Some kind of haunted house, all cobwebs and fake screams. "Are you good on a motorcycle?" Sable asked over her shoulder. "As a passenger, yes." Almost there. Sable navigated a maintenance corridor with practiced ease. Just past the loading platform, a figure stepped out of the shadows. Then another, and another. 5 men, black tactical gear, weapons raised, silver glinting at their belts. "End of the line, Alpha." The leader smiled, his teeth glinting in the dim light. "The Blackwoods send their regards." Ash shoved Sable behind him. "Can you run to your motorcycle if I hold them back for a few minutes?" "I won't run without you, Ash." Her voice was steady but strained. "I can't shift right now. But you can easily take them all if you shift, right?" "Yes, but my wolf has been under suppressant for 18 months, out of practice." He kept his eyes on the advancing men. "It can fight, but I might not be able to protect you while it's—" "I'm your security, Ash." Her hand found his arm. "I can't fight for you right now, but I can get you out of here. The only damage would be to your ego, because we both have to run from this fight." "Do I look like I care about my ego right now, Sable?" A grin flickered across her face. "Deal!" She raised her voice. "Biscuit! Escape plan activated!" Biscuit's voice echoed from somewhere in the darkness. A mechanical groan filled the corridor, and from the tunnel ahead, Ash's least favorite ride lurched to life, the descent to hell. A flaming demon face marked the entrance, and the ride cart, shaped like a black iron coffin, rolled forward on the track, its safety bar lifting with a hydraulic hiss. "You have got to be kidding me," Ash muttered. "Get in!" Sable shoved him toward the cart. The Blackwood men broke into a run. Ash vaulted into the coffin-shaped seat. Sable dove in after him, and Biscuit launched himself through the air, landing in her lap just as the safety bar slammed down. "Go!" Sable screamed. The cart lurched forward. The Blackwood leader's fingers brushed the back of the cart, close enough that Ash felt the air displacement. And then they were gone, plunging into the darkness of the ride. "Hold me tight!" Biscuit shouted, his tiny body rattling against the safety bar. "I'm too small for the seatbelt." "I'm holding you, so stop screaming." Sable clutched the Pomeranian against her chest. "Who's controlling the ride if you're here?" "Mitch. I promised him a year's worth of premium tactical gear." The cart hit the first drop. Ash's stomach flew into his throat as they plummeted 30 feet straight down, the track twisting into a corkscrew that spun them upside down. Fake flames roared on either side. Animatronic demons lunged from alcoves, their mechanical claws swiping inches from the cart. They rocketed up a steep incline, gravity crushing them into the seats, then crested the peak and dropped again, this time into a tunnel painted with scenes of eternal damnation, complete with screaming souls and rivers of fake lava. "We don't have tactical gear to give Mitch," Sable shouted over the roar of the track. "We can buy it with Ash's black credit card." The cart banked hard left, throwing them against the side. Ash grabbed the safety bar with one hand and Sable's arm with the other, bracing them both as the ride corkscrewed through a cavern of spinning red lights. "I'm expensing this!" Biscuit's voice was nearly lost in the chaos. "All of it, including emotional damages." They burst out of the tunnel into open air, the night sky above them, the theme park sprawling below, and for one breathless moment, they were flying. Then the track curved downward, and they plunged toward the final drop. "Exit coming up!" Biscuit screamed. 30 seconds! Ash could see it. A maintenance platform at the base of the ride, lit by a single emergency light. Beyond it, a chain-link gate. Beyond that, the staff parking lot. Freedom. The cart screeched into the unloading zone. The safety bar released. Sable was already moving, Biscuit tucked under one arm, her bare feet hitting the platform at a run. "This way!" They sprinted through the gate, past rows of employee vehicles, until Sable skidded to a stop in front of a motorcycle. Not just any motorcycle. A matte black Ducati monster, sleek and powerful and completely at odds with everything Ash thought he knew about theme park security guards. Sable threw her leg over the seat and kicked the engine to life. It roared like a waking dragon. "Get on!" Ash climbed on behind her. "Hold tight!" Biscuit commanded from somewhere inside Sable's torn dress, his tiny head poking out of the velvet like a very angry pocket accessory. "And don't mess up my fur." Sable gunned the throttle. The Ducati leaped forward, tearing through the parking lot toward the exit. Behind them, shouts echoed. The Blackwood men had found another way out of the ride, but they were too late. Sable hit the main road at 70 miles per hour, the wind whipping her ruined dress behind her like a battle flag, and Ash held on for dear life.
This is a quick word from DN Leo, and yes, Lieutenant Biscuit approved this message. If you're enjoying Sable and Ash's story so far, and let's be honest, if Lieutenant Biscuit has already stolen your heart, take a second to hit that like button and subscribe. It really does help more than you know. And here's a little secret. There's a free exclusive bonus chapter waiting for you. It's Biscuit's first date. There's a German shepherd named Athena, a rhinestone bow tie, and a squirrel that gets mistaken for a threat. You don't want to miss it. Link in the description and pinned in the first comment. Now, back to the story.
Chapter 5. The Ducati screamed through the night at 90 miles per hour, and Ash's phone buzzed against his chest. He fumbled it out of his jacket, one arm still wrapped around Sable's waist. The screen showed a number he hadn't seen in 3 years. Victor, his deep-cover intel source. The wolf who never called unless the world was ending. Ash answered, "Talk." "You left the wrong building, Alpha." Victor's voice was barely audible over the wind. "The bomb isn't meant for you." Ash's blood went cold. "What?" "Blackwood's planted a device in the venue. Target isn't you, it's the council elders. Take out the old guard, destabilize every major pack on the eastern seaboard." Victor paused. "You were the distraction." The chase was to pull security away from the real target. The call ended. Ash stared at the phone. The elders, 200 pack members, still in that building. He'd left them behind. "Sable!" he shouted over the engine. "Pull over!" She didn't argue. The Ducati banked hard, skidding to a stop on the shoulder of the empty road. Gravel sprayed. The engine idled. "What's wrong?" Sable twisted to look at him. Ash was already dialing Nathan. "I need confirmation on something. Give me 10 seconds. Nathan picked up on the first ring. "Sir, where are you?" "En route away from the park." "Listen to me. Have your team sweep the venue for explosives. Now." "Explosives?" "Sir, the Blackwood team retreated after you left. We thought—" "They wanted us to leave. I was the distraction." Ash's jaw tightened. "The real target is the elders. There's a bomb in that building." "Silence." Then Nathan's voice, sharp with urgency. "Initiating sweep." "But sir, if there's a device, we don't have a detection specialist on site. Marcus was our guy, and he's down." "I'll handle it. Just start evacuating, quietly. Don't cause a panic." "Understood. How far out are you?" Ash looked at the road stretching behind them. The park was at least 10 minutes back. "Close enough," he said. "I'm coming back." He ended the call. "Sable." He swung off the bike. "Drop me here. I need to get back to the venue." She stared at him. "Drop you here? On the side of a highway? How exactly are you planning to get back? Run." "If I have to." "That's a 10-minute drive at high speed. You'd be running for—" "I don't have time to argue." Ash stepped back from the bike. "My people are in danger. I left them behind. I need to fix this." "So your plan is to heroically sprint through the night while a bomb ticks down?" Sable's voice went flat. "That's your strategy?" "The ticking bomb isn't metaphorical in this case, Sable. I don't need strategy. I need to move." "What you need," Biscuit's head emerged from Sable's torn dress, "is to yank the carrot out of your ass and get real." Ash blinked. "Excuse me?" The Pomeranian wriggled free and planted himself on the Ducati's fuel tank like a tiny furry gargoyle. "You're doing the thing, the alpha thing, where you assume you have to handle everything alone because you're the big strong leader and everyone else is a liability." "There's a bomb." "Yes, there's a bomb. And you know who's trained in explosive detection?" Biscuit's tiny chest puffed out. "Me, certified by 3 federal agencies, top of my class at TSA K9 Academy. I have sniffed out more suspicious packages than you've signed business contracts." Ash opened his mouth, but before he could speak, the dog cut him off. "I'm not finished." The Pomeranian's voice rose. "You also have Sable, who knows every inch of that park, every service corridor, every maintenance tunnel. She can get you in and out faster than your fancy security team can check their earpieces." "He's right," Sable said quietly. "You need us, Ash, whether your alpha ego likes it or not." He spoke through clenched teeth. "I don't have a problem with my ego. You are my Luna, and I need to keep you safe." "Is the business deal still on?" Sable asked. "Yes." "Then get on the bike. I'm taking you back." Ash stood in the middle of the empty road, the night wind cutting through his ruined suit, and felt something crack inside his chest, not his heart, his pride. "Fine," he said. "We go back together." "Was that so hard?" Biscuit sniffed. "Yes." "Good. Growth is uncomfortable. The Pomeranian turned to Sable. "Take us back, fast. I need to mentally prepare for bomb detection. It's been a while since I've worked live ordnance." He shot Ash a look. "And don't mess up my fur." Sable revved the engine. Ash climbed back on the bike. They tore back toward Eventide Gardens. The service entrance was chaos. Nathan had started the evacuation, but 200 panicked wolves didn't move quietly. Security personnel were herding people toward the exits, voices urgent but controlled. The elders were clustered near the east wing, surrounded by a protective detail. Ash spotted them the moment they pulled up. "Evacuate the elders first," Ash ordered as Nathan approached. "Get younger members to set a perimeter in case the Blackwoods circle back. Use the route we just came in on. That exit is clear." "Yes, Ash." Nathan rushed away to execute the order. Sable killed the engine. "We'll start the sweep." "The building is massive. You don't even know what you're looking for," Ash said. "Biscuit does." She lifted the Pomeranian from her lap and set him on the ground. "Don't you?" Biscuit's entire demeanor shifted. The sarcasm vanished. His small body went rigid, ears pricked, nose already working. "Standard explosive compounds have distinct chemical signatures," he said. His voice clipped and professional. "Ammonium nitrate, nitroglycerin, PETN. C4 has a marzipan scent that's nearly impossible to mask." He looked up at Ash. "I can find it. But I need access to every room, every corridor, every utility closet. No restrictions. Done. And I need Sable with me. She knows the layout. I don't have time to navigate." "Also done." Biscuit nodded once. "Then stop talking and go handle your elders. We have work to do." He turned and trotted toward the building, his tiny legs moving with purpose. Sable met Ash's eyes. She smiled, just a flash, there and gone, and then she was running after Biscuit, her torn dress streaming behind her. Ash strode after them both. He was ready to unleash his wolf at a moment's notice to protect her. He was better for strategy in human form, but in wolf form, his strength was unmatched. He needed to remain human for as long as possible. His pack needed a leader right now more than another set of jaws and teeth. His wolf pressed against the suppressants, harder than ever before. Soon, he promised it. Soon. The East Wing basement was a maze of utility corridors and storage rooms. Sable followed Biscuit through the labyrinth, her bare feet silent on the cold concrete. The Pomeranian moved with intense focus, his nose sweeping the air, pausing at doorways, dismissing rooms with a sharp shake of his head. "Not here, not here. Cleaning supplies, definitely not here, though someone should address the expired bleach situation." "Biscuit, focus." "I am focused. I'm also noting safety violations. It's called multitasking." They rounded a corner. Biscuit froze. His entire body went rigid. His ears flattened. "Here." He was pointing at an unmarked door at the end of the corridor. A utility room by the look of it. Probably electrical equipment. Maybe HVAC access. "You're sure?" Sable asked. "I'm sure." Biscuit's voice was grim. "C4, at least 2 pounds, maybe more. That's enough to bring down this wing." "Yes." He looked up at her. "We need to get inside." Sable tried the handle. Locked. "Move." She stepped back, aimed, and kicked the door just below the lock. The frame splintered. She kicked again. The door flew open. "Impressive," Biscuit said. "I've been wanting to do that all night." They stepped inside. The utility room was cramped, filled with electrical panels and junction boxes. In the corner, almost invisible behind a tangle of cables, sat a black duffel bag. Biscuit approached it slowly, his nose working. "This is it," he confirmed. "C4, 4 pounds, and there's a timer." He circled the bag carefully. "I can see the LED through the fabric." "We have 11 minutes. Sable's heart stopped. "Can you defuse it?" "I'm a detection specialist, not a bomb technician. I can find them. I can't disarm them." Biscuit sat back on his haunches. "We need to evacuate everyone and let it blow. This entire wing will come down." Ash's voice came from the doorway. His face had gone pale. "Can you see exactly how much time we have, Biscuit?" Sable asked. "No, the display is inside the bag." She moved toward it. "Don't, Sable." Ash pushed past her. "Let me." He crouched beside the bag and unzipped it carefully. Inside, the digital display stared up at him, blinking red. 5 minutes. His blood turned to ice. He looked up. There was no one else in this room. But the corridor outside was full of pack members, security teams, stragglers from the evacuation, all in close proximity. By the time they were informed and started moving, there wouldn't be enough time to clear this wing. 5 minutes wasn't enough. 4 minutes and 50 seconds now. He felt a shove, hard, brutal, completely unexpected. His body hit the floor. By the time he looked up, Sable had grabbed the bag, sprinted 3 steps toward her motorcycle parked in the corridor, and shoved it into the small compartment at the back. Sable! No! She didn't look back. The Ducati roared to life and she tore away so fast that even his wolf couldn't react. Biscuit barked, a high-pitched, furious sound like an angry cotton ball having a breakdown. She left me! She left me behind! After everything Ash didn't hear the rest. He shifted. The transformation ripped through him, suppressants shattering like glass, 18 months of chemical barriers dissolving in an instant. His wolf exploded free with a howl that shook the walls. And then he ran. 4 minutes on the clock. His paws ate up the ground faster than he'd ever moved, faster than he'd known he could move. The world blurred around him. Dark trees, empty roads, the distant red glow of the Ducati's taillight. 3 minutes. He could see her now. She'd left the main road, veering toward the marshland at the edge of the park property. Smart. Get the bomb away from people, away from buildings. 2 minutes. The taillight wobbled, then it disappeared. His wolf howled in terror. He crested a small hill and saw it, the Ducati on its side, skidding down the embankment toward the marsh. Sable was on the ground trying to push herself up. She couldn't. Whatever had broken in the fall, it was bad. He could feel her pain through the bond, sharp, stabbing, wrong. 1 minute. These final feet felt like infinity. I'm coming for you, Sable. He couldn't think, could only run. He skidded down the embankment, mud and grass spraying, and reached her side. She was pale, shaking, one arm clutched against her ribs. The duffel bag was 20 feet away, partially submerged in marsh water. 30 seconds, maybe less. There was no time to speak, no time to plan. Their eyes met, his wolf eyes golden, wild, desperate. Her beautiful brown eyes, pained but steady, unafraid. And in that moment his wolf didn't just stir, it claimed. Mate. It howled. Mine. Forever. Always. The bond between them blazed to life, not the fragile thread from before, but something stronger, brighter, unbreakable. He felt her wolf rise to meet his, silver and fierce, answering the call. Yours, she sent through the bond. Now get us out of here. She grabbed his fur with her good arm and hauled herself onto his back. Her weight settled against him, warm, alive, his. He charged. Every muscle screaming, every instinct focused on one thing, distance. More distance, as much distance as possible. 10 seconds. The marsh blurred beneath his paws. 5 seconds. He felt the heat before he heard the sound. The explosion erupted behind them, a wall of force and fire that lifted them off the ground and hurled them forward like ragdolls. For one suspended moment they were flying, the night sky wheeling overhead, flames reflected in the marsh water below. You're my mate, Sable, he sent through the bond, not knowing if she could hear him, not caring. I love you. His wolf howled, mate, mate, mate. The flying ended. The falling began, and the ground was not gentle. His world went black. When consciousness returned, he was human again, sprawled in the mud, every bone aching, his ears ringing with a sound like 1,000 bells. The night sky swam above him, stars blurring in and out of focus. Sable. He forced his body to move. Every muscle screamed in protest. His vision doubled, tripled, steadied. She was 10 feet away. On the ground, not moving. He crawled. His hands sank into the mud. His knees scraped against rocks. Nothing mattered except reaching her. She was alive. He could feel her heartbeat through the bond, faint but steady. Or maybe he was imagining it because he wanted to believe it so badly. Or maybe he couldn't feel anything because everything hurt, and his ears were still ringing, and his wolf was howling in the back of his mind. He reached her. He cradled her head in his lap. There was blood, a cut on her forehead, another on her arm. Her breathing was shallow, but regular. Sable. His voice came out wrecked, barely a whisper. Open your eyes and look at me, please. I can't hear or feel anything, and I need to know you're okay. Silence. His heart stopped. Then her eyes fluttered, opened. Those beautiful brown eyes, focusing on his face. When was the last time he'd felt such relief? Maybe never. What took you so long, Ash? Her voice was hoarse, cracked, the most beautiful sound he'd ever heard. A laugh tore out of him, half sob, half joy. Asking me to race against your motorcycle is unfair. Even in wolf form, I can only run so fast. He wiped a strand of hair from her forehead, his fingers trembling. You're the most beautiful, courageous, and stupid woman I have ever met, Sable. She chuckled, then winced. Is the business deal still on? Because I need to claim insurance for this. No. He cupped her face in his hands. The business deal lapsed the moment you abandoned your business partner and ran away with a bomb. So what now? Now you're my mate. His voice broke on the word. My Luna, my significant other half, for real this time. No arrangements, no deals, just us. Her eyes glistened. I accept. He leaned down and pressed his forehead to hers, breathing her in, mud and blood and smoke, and her. Mine, his wolf whispered. Yours, hers answered. This is outrageous! Biscuit's voice shattered the moment, echoing across the marsh. This is unacceptable, leaving friends and partners behind. After everything I have done for you. Ash looked up. The Pomeranian was being carried in the crook of Nathan's arm, his tiny body rigid with indignation. Behind Nathan, the pack approached. Dozens of wolves, some shifted, some human, all staring at the scene before them. The elders weren't far behind. I specifically said I don't abandon my partner, Biscuit continued, his voice rising. I said it multiple times. And what did you do? You abandoned me with a bomb. Do you have any idea how traumatic? Biscuit. Sable's voice was weak but warm. I'm sorry, I had to move fast. You could have grabbed me. I weigh 4 pounds. I am highly portable. You're right, I'm sorry. I have filed a formal complaint. In my head, it will be documented as soon as I have access to my notepad. Despite everything, the pain, the exhaustion, the near-death experience, Ash laughed. Nathan reached them first, his face a mix of relief and disbelief. Sir, are you alive? Ash helped Sable sit up, keeping one arm firmly around her. Barely. She needs medical attention. She needs to go to a hospital, Nathan said. No. The voice came from behind them. Elder Miriam stepped forward, her severe face softened by something that might have been admiration. She's packed now, Miriam said firmly. She doesn't go to a human hospital. She goes to the Silverwood Sanctuary. Ash's spine stiffened. The sanctuary was sacred ground, reserved only for pack members, for wolves who had proven their worth. The sanctuary hasn't accepted a new wolf in 3 years, he said carefully. Then it's about time it did. Elder Miriam looked down at Sable, muddy, bloody, half-broken, and utterly undefeated. She ran toward a bomb to save our people. She's earned her place. Elder Vance stepped forward, his expression unreadable. The council concurs. She has proven herself tonight in ways that matter more than bloodlines or politics. He paused. Your father would have been proud of your choice, Alpha Huxley. The words landed like a blessing. Ash looked down at Sable. She was staring up at the elders with an expression of pure shock. I don't, she swallowed. I don't know what to say. Say nothing, Elder Solomon said, shuffling forward with his ancient, knowing smile. Just heal. The pack needs its Luna strong. He patted her hand. We've waited a long time for you, child, even if we didn't know it. Biscuit cleared his throat from Nathan's arms. I would also like to note, he announced, that I located the bomb. That was me, My nose, my training. I feel this contribution is being overlooked in the current emotional atmosphere. Elder Miriam's lips twitched. It is not overlooked, Lieutenant. The Council will be recommending you for a commendation. Biscuit's tiny chest puffed out. I accept. I would also like a corner office and a title, Head of Explosive Detection and Luna Protection Services. That can be arranged. And a raise. You don't have a salary. Then I would like a salary followed immediately by a raise. Sable laughed, a weak, pained sound that was still somehow full of joy. She reached out and scratched behind Biscuit's ears. I'm sorry I left you behind, she said softly. You're the best partner I've ever had. Biscuit's righteous anger deflated slightly. Yes, well, I suppose I can forgive you. This once, he sniffed. But there will be paperwork. I wouldn't expect anything less. Ash helped Sable to her feet, taking most of her weight as she swayed. The pack parted for them, wolves bowing their heads, acknowledging their Luna, welcoming her into the fold. She was one of them now. She was his. And as they walked toward the waiting vehicles, surrounded by pack and elders and one very opinionated Pomeranian, Ash finally let himself believe that everything was going to be okay. His wolf, settled and content for the first time in 18 months, agreed. Home, it whispered. Finally home. Chapter 6. The Silverwood Sanctuary smelled like cedar and moonlight. Sable lay on a bed that was somehow both ancient and impossibly comfortable, staring up at a ceiling carved with wolf constellations. Her ribs were wrapped, her cuts were cleaned. Whatever the healers had given her made the pain feel distant, like it belonged to someone else. Biscuit was perched on the pillow beside her head, maintaining what he called close protection surveillance. You're staring at me, Sable said. I'm monitoring your condition. By staring. Visual assessment is a critical component of medical oversight. He sniffed. Also, I'm still processing my abandonment trauma. Looking at you helps me work through my feelings. Biscuit, I've decided to forgive you, officially. But I want you to know it took significant emotional labor. Sable reached up and scratched behind his ears. Thank you for your emotional labor. You're welcome. I'm billing Ash for therapy. The door opened, and Nathan stepped in, his massive frame barely fitting through the ancient doorway. He looked exhausted, dirt still streaked across his face, his tactical gear torn in several places. How's the patient? He asked. Alive, Sable said. Confused about where I am, but alive. The Silverwood Sanctuary. Nathan pulled up a wooden chair that creaked ominously under his weight. Sacred ground. Only pack members are allowed here, and only those who've... He paused. Earned it. I gathered that from Elder Miriam's speech. What I don't understand is why it feels like no one's been here in years. Nathan's expression flickered. Something complicated passed behind his eyes. Because no one has, he said quietly. Not since... The door burst open again. I come bearing contraband. Helena's voice rang out as she swept into the room, her arms full of shopping bags. Also emotional support and extremely expensive chocolate. Sable blinked. Helena? Ash's best friend and also chosen fake date Helena? In the flesh. Helena dropped the bags on the foot of the bed and surveyed Sable with sharp eyes. You look terrible. I mean that affectionately. Ash called me in a complete panic, which, by the way, I've never heard him panic about anything in 20 years of friendship, so I caught the first flight out. You flew here? From where? Milan. I was at a conference. Very boring. This is much more exciting. Helena perched on the edge of the bed. Now, someone explain to me why my best friend's mate is lying in a building that's been abandoned since the Huxley family tragedy, and why said best friend is currently pacing outside like a caged wolf. Nathan coughed. That's a lot to unpack. Then start unpacking. Helena produced a chocolate bar from one of the bags and handed it to Sable. Eat this. You need sugar. Nathan, talk. I'm not sure I should... Nathan. Helena's voice sharpened. I've known Ash since we were 15. I know about the brother. I know about the parents. What I don't know is why his mate being brought to the sanctuary has him looking like he's seen a ghost. Sable sat up straighter, ignoring the protest from her ribs. What about his brother? Silence. Nathan rubbed the back of his neck. Biscuit's ears perked up with interest. "This seems like relevant information," Biscuit observed. "I'm taking notes." "You don't have your notepad," Sable said. "Mental notes. They're just as valid." Helena sighed and turned to Sable. Ash had a brother, Lucas, 3 years younger. He died 6 years ago on a pack mission. The words landed like stones in still water. "He doesn't talk about it. Ever." Helena's voice softened. The mission was supposed to be routine. Scouting territory, nothing dangerous. But there was an ambush. Lucas was killed. And Ash blames himself, Nathan finished quietly. He was supposed to lead that mission, but their father pulled him off at the last minute, said he needed Ash for something else, some business meeting. His jaw tightened. Lucas went in his place. The pieces clicked together in Sable's mind. "He thinks his father chose him over Lucas for the business side of things," she said slowly. "Favored him, protected him, and Lucas died because of it." "That's what Ash believes, whether it's true." Nathan shrugged. "The old alpha never talked about it. After Lucas died, he and his mate, Ash's mother, they withdrew. Came here to the sanctuary, haven't left in 6 years, haven't spoken to anyone, including Ash. They excommunicated themselves," Helena added. "Grief does strange things to people, even alphas." Sable stared at the wolf constellations carved into the ceiling. Ash had lost his brother. His parents had vanished into isolation. And he'd spent 6 years carrying guilt he probably didn't deserve, suppressing his wolf to avoid the pain of what it reminded him of. No wonder he'd built walls. No wonder he'd tried to control everything. "Why didn't anyone tell me this?" she asked. "It's not exactly first date conversation," Helena said dryly. "Hi, I'm Ash. I run a billion-dollar company, and oh, by the way, my brother died and my parents live in self-imposed exile. What's your sign?" "I would have wanted to know." "And now you do." Helena squeezed her hand. "The question is, what are you going to do with it?" Before Sable could answer, the door opened a third time. Ash stood in the doorway. He looked worse than Nathan, suit completely ruined, hair wild, eyes red-rimmed, but what struck Sable most was his expression. He was looking at the room like it held ghosts. Maybe it did. "You're awake," he said. His voice was rough. "Getting there." Sable held out her hand. "Come here." He crossed the room in 3 strides and took her hand like it was the only thing keeping him tethered to earth. His grip was too tight. She didn't complain. "You scared me," he said quietly. "Running off with a bomb, nearly dying. I scared myself." She tugged him closer. "Sit down before you fall down." He sat on the edge of the bed, and she watched him look around the room, really look, for the first time. His jaw tightened. "This was Lucas's room," he said. Helena and Nathan exchanged glances. "The healers didn't know," Nathan said carefully. "They just put her in the first available, 'It's fine.'" Ash's voice was flat. "It's fine." It clearly wasn't fine. "Ash," Sable pulled his hand into her lap. "Tell me about him." "About Lucas." "There's nothing to tell. There's everything to tell. He was your brother." "Sable, you've been carrying this alone for 6 years. She held his gaze. "You don't have to anymore." Something cracked in his expression. The walls she'd sensed from the beginning. The control, the suppression, the careful distance. They trembled. "He was annoying," Ash said finally. "Always laughing. Always making jokes at the worst possible times. He had this stupid habit of naming everything. His car, his coffee mug, his running shoes." A ghost of a smile crossed his face. "He would have loved Biscuit." "I am highly lovable," Biscuit confirmed. "It's documented. He wanted to prove himself. Show our father he was just as capable as me. That mission." Ash's voice caught. "He volunteered, asked our father to let him lead it. I should have been there. I should have—" "You should have what?" Sable asked gently. "Predicted an ambush? Overridden your father's decision?" "I should have protected him, like you tried to protect me tonight?" She raised an eyebrow. "What if that had gotten both of you killed?" Ash stared at her. Helena snorted. "She has a point. People you love are going to make their own choices, Ash." Sable's thumb traced circles on his palm. "Sometimes those choices are dangerous. Sometimes they're stupid. Sometimes they involve grabbing bombs and driving away on motorcycles." "That was definitely stupid," Biscuit muttered. "The point is," Sable continued, "you can't control everything. You can't save everyone. Lucas made his choice. You're not responsible for the consequences. My father made his own choices too. And then he hid from them by coming here." She glanced around the room. "Have you seen him since he withdrew?" Ash shook his head. 6 years, Helena said softly. 6 years without parents, without answers, without closure. All because everyone in this family is too stubborn to talk about their feelings. "I talk about my feelings," Ash protested. Nathan coughed. Helena laughed outright. "You absolutely do not," she said. "You suppress them, professionally, with expensive medication and 17-hour workdays. I'm working on it. You're working on it because a woman bit you in a vampire ride and forced you to feel things." Helena grinned. "Thank God for her, honestly. I was running out of ideas." A sound came from the doorway. Everyone turned. An older woman stood there, silver-haired, elegant, with eyes that were unmistakably Ash's. Beside her, a tall man with broad shoulders and a face that might have been carved from stone. He looked like Ash would in 30 years. Ash went completely still. "Mom?" His voice cracked on the word. "Dad?" "We felt the bond," his mother said. Her voice trembled. "A new bond here in the sanctuary. We thought, we didn't know what to think. We had to see." Her eyes glistened. "You found your mate." His father's gaze moved from Ash to Sable, assessing. "She's your mate." "Yes, father." Ash's hand tightened on Sable's. "She nearly died tonight, saving our pack." "She's injured," his father acknowledged. "But her wolf is strong. She can overcome this." His eyes narrowed, seeing something no one else could see. The alpha bloodline runs deep in her. Sable's heart stuttered. "No one knows. For years, no one could tell because my wolf was damaged." Ash's father looked at her directly for the first time. His gaze was piercing, ancient, seeing past flesh and bone to the spirit underneath. "I can," he said. "I can see your wolf as clearly as I can see your father's spirit." The spirit of a fallen alpha. The room went silent. A tear rolled down Sable's face before she could stop it. Ash growled, low and dangerous. "Father, she just saved our pack. She nearly died doing it. This is how we repay her? With distress? Because she saved our pack, this is exactly what she will get." His father's voice was firm, but not unkind. "The truth. The acknowledgement she deserves." He stepped closer to the bed, his presence filling the room. 2 years before Lucas died, there was turbulence in the high mountain packs. The Deep Blue Mountain Pack was destroyed in a single night. Massacred. His jaw tightened. "I knew Alpha Brian had a daughter, but the report said there were no survivors, so I didn't investigate further. I should have. I should have searched." Sable couldn't breathe. "Are you Sable Castlemaine?" his father asked. "Daughter of Alpha Brian Castlemaine and Luna Marie?" The names hit her like physical blows. Names she hadn't heard spoken aloud in years. Names she'd thought no one remembered. "Yes," she whispered. Ash pulled her into his arms and held her as she sobbed into his shoulder. Years of grief, of hiding, of being no one, all of it crashing through her at once. Her father's name, her mother's name. Someone remembered them. Someone knew who she really was. Ash's father nodded slowly, something shifting in his expression. Regret, recognition, resolve. "I'm sorry you were alone for so long," he said, his voice rough. "We should have come to your aid sooner. The council should have searched harder. Brian was a good alpha, a good man. He deserved better than to have his daughter left to fend for herself." Sable lifted her head from Ash's shoulder, tears still streaming. "You knew my father well?" "I did. We served on the council together years ago. He was honorable, stubborn as hell, but honorable." A ghost of a smile crossed his weathered face. "You have his eyes, and his wolf, damaged as it is, carries his fire." "In 3 days, her wolf will regain its full power," Biscuit announced from the pillow. "And then she's going to go back and kick their asses." "Biscuit," Sable hissed, I'm just telling the truth. You have a pack now. The people who destroyed your family can't get away with what they did. I don't even know who attacked us, Sable said. It was chaos, fire and screaming and... Her voice broke. I never saw their faces. I just ran. You survived, Ash's mother said gently. That's what mattered. That's what your parents would have wanted. I can hire a private investigator, Biscuit offered. Work out who was responsible. Using Ash's black credit card, of course. I'm sure there's money left in there. After the tactical gear and my therapy bills and the emotional damages from being abandoned by you. Biscuit. What? I'm being practical. Revenge requires resources. Ash said nothing. Sable felt him through the bond, a wall of controlled silence where his thoughts should be. He'd locked down completely. Whatever he was thinking, whatever he was planning, he didn't want her to know. That scared her more than the bomb had. Ash? She pulled back to look at his face. What are you thinking? His expression was carved from stone. Nothing. You're lying. I'm processing. You're plotting. She gripped his hand. Whatever you're planning, I'm not planning anything. He met her eyes, and something dark flickered in his gaze. Yet. His father stepped forward, placing a hand on Ash's shoulder. Son, whatever you're considering, don't do it alone. You have pack now. You have family. He glanced at Sable. Both of you do. The people who killed her family are still out there, Ash said flatly. They destroyed an entire pack. They left her with nothing, and they've been walking free for years. Yes, that's not acceptable. No, it isn't. His father's grip tightened. But justice and vengeance are not the same thing. Your mate needs time to heal. Her wolf needs time to return to full strength. In 3 days together, you'll be most powerful couple in the region. He paused. Don't rush into something that could get you both killed before she has the chance to fight alongside you. Ash's jaw worked. 3 days, his mother added softly. Give it 3 days. Let her heal. Let us help you find the truth about what happened to her pack. And then, her eyes hardened, then we make them pay. Together, as a family. Sable watched the emotions war across Ash's face. Rage. Protectiveness. The desperate need to do something, fix something, control something. And underneath it all, love. Love for her. 3 days, he finally said. But after that, we hunt. His father nodded. After that, we hunt. Helena cleared her throat. Well, this is all very dramatic, and I'm absolutely here for it. She pulled out her phone. I'm going to need to reschedule my entire week, possibly my month. Nick is going to be very confused, but I'll explain that my best friend's mate is secretly an alpha princess, and we're apparently going to war. Chapter 7. Sable woke to the smell of bacon and the sound of laughter. For a long moment, she just lay there, staring at the wolf constellations carved into the ceiling. Her ribs didn't ache anymore. Her cuts had faded to thin pink lines. And her wolf was awake. Not the damaged, flickering thing she'd carried for 8 years. This wolf was whole, powerful, burning bright like a silver flame in her chest. The full moon had done its work. She was back. Finally, her wolf whispered. Finally whole. Sable pushed herself out of bed and caught her reflection in the ancient mirror by the door. She looked different. Not just healed, transformed. Her eyes held a golden edge that hadn't been there before. Her posture had changed, shoulders back, chin lifted, alpha bloodline, fully awakened. She padded barefoot toward the kitchen, following the sounds of voices and the clatter of pans. The scene that greeted her made something warm bloom in her chest. Ash's mother, Eleanor, she'd insisted Sable call her, stood at the stove flipping pancakes with the ease of someone who'd done it 1,000 times. She was humming something soft and old, a lullaby maybe. Ash's father, Richard, sat at the massive wooden table with Ash and Nathan, papers spread between them, heads bent together over what looked like surveillance reports. Biscuit was perched on the kitchen counter, a violation of approximately 17 health codes, Sable was sure, holding court with Helena, who was laughing at something he'd said. And that's when I told the TSA director that his protocols were, and I quote, an embarrassment to detection specialists everywhere, Biscuit was saying. He didn't take it well, but I stand by my assessment. You got banned from the airport, Helena said, wiping her eyes. I got banned from one terminal. There's a difference. And frankly, their loss. Sable! Eleanor spotted her in the doorway and immediately abandoned the pancakes. You're up! How do you feel? Are you hungry? You must be hungry. Sit, sit. I'm making your plate. Before Sable could respond, she was being guided to a chair, a mug of coffee pressed into her hands, and Eleanor was piling pancakes onto a plate with the intensity of someone who'd been waiting years to mother someone. Ash looked up at his mother, then at Sable. There was a twinkle in his eyes. Sable read that as happiness. Joy at seeing his mother fussing over a daughter-in-law. You're scaring her, Mom. She's used to having space. She's been through trauma. She needs calories. Eleanor set the plate in front of Sable. Eat. You're too thin. I'm really not. Too thin, Eleanor repeated firmly. I can see your collarbones. Ash met Sable's eyes across the table and shrugged. Sorry, he sent through the bond. She's been waiting for a daughter for 30 years. You're getting the full experience. Sable bit back a smile. I don't mind. And she didn't. The warmth of it, the chaos and the laughter and the smell of breakfast. It reminded her of mornings long ago, before everything burned. How's the intel looking? She asked, nodding toward the papers. Richard's expression sobered. The Blackwood pack has gone quiet, too quiet. After the attack at the park, we expected them to retreat and regroup, but our sources say they're still in the area. They're planning something, Nathan said grimly. We just don't know what. Maybe they gave up, Helena offered from the counter. Realized they picked the wrong pack to mess with. Blackwood doesn't give up. Richard shook his head. I've known Marcus Blackwood for 40 years. He's patient, methodical. If he's quiet, it's because he's waiting for the right moment. Sable's wolf stirred, uneasy. Ash reached across the table and took her hand. Whatever he's planning, we'll be ready. A phone buzzed. Nathan grabbed it, frowning at the screen. His face went pale. What is it? Ash demanded. Report from our scouts. Nathan looked up. Blackwood forces spotted moving toward the pack house, armed. At least 24 wolves. The room erupted. Richard was on his feet, issuing orders. Ash grabbed his jacket. Eleanor started packing what looked like a medical kit. They're coming for the pack house? Sable asked. In broad daylight? Bold move, Ash said darkly. Either desperate or confident. Neither is good. They might have explosives again, Nathan said. Same playbook as the gala. Biscuit hopped down from the counter, his entire demeanor shifting from charming raconteur to hardened professional. Then you need me, he announced. Explosive detection is my specialty. I haven't let a device slip past me in 6 years of federal service, and I'm not starting now. Agreed. Nathan grabbed his radio. I'm calling in the K9 unit. We'll sweep the pack house before anyone enters. He barked orders into the radio, and Sable heard responses crackling back. Within minutes, vehicles were being loaded, weapons distributed, and the sanctuary transformed from peaceful refuge to military staging ground. You should stay here, Ash told Sable. You're still recovering. I'm fully healed and my wolf is back at full power. She smiled at him. Try to stop me. He stared at her for a long moment. Then he smiled, that rare, genuine smile that made her heart flip. Wouldn't dream of it, he said. Partners, remember? Partners. The convoy raced toward the pack house, tires screaming on asphalt. Sable rode with Ash in the lead vehicle, Nathan driving, Biscuit secured in a reinforced carrier between them. The Pomeranian had insisted on the carrier. It protects my operational integrity during high-speed maneuvers. But Sable suspected he just liked having his own command center. They pulled up to the pack house to find it eerily quiet. The massive stone building sat empty, evacuated on Richard's orders the moment the threat was confirmed. Nathan's K9 unit was already assembling in the courtyard. 5 handlers with their dogs, 3 Belgian Malinois, 1 Doberman, and... Sable felt Biscuit go rigid in his carrier, a German shepherd, female, glossy black and tan coat, intelligent eyes, perfect posture. She stood beside her handler like a statue, radiating quiet competence. Who, Biscuit breathed, is that? New addition, Nathan said, checking his gear. Athena, transferred from the federal K-9 program last week. Top of her class in detection and apprehension. Athena, Biscuit repeated. His voice had gone strange. That's a good name. Strong, classical, appropriate for a goddess of, for a professional of her caliber. Biscuit let out a low hum in his throat, a sound Sable hadn't heard him made before. They exited the vehicle, and Biscuit immediately positioned himself at the front of the K-9 lineup. His tiny chest was puffed out, his tactical vest gleaming. He was very clearly trying to look taller. "All right, team," he announced, his voice cracking slightly before he cleared his throat. "Standard sweep protocol. Section by section, room by room. Call out any anomalies. I want this building cleared in 30 minutes." He marched toward the entrance with military precision, then immediately tripped over a paving stone. He recovered instantly, pretending nothing had happened, and continued inside with Athena padding silently behind him. Sable glanced at Ash. His mouth was twitching. "Not a word," she murmured. "I wasn't going to say anything. Your face is saying plenty." The pack house was a maze of corridors and chambers, built over generations, expanded and renovated until it sprawled across nearly an acre. Sable followed Ash through the main hall, past the great room where pack meetings were held, into the private residential wing. Her wolf was alert, ears pricked for any threat, but something felt wrong. Not dangerous wrong, empty wrong, like they were chasing shadows while the real threat lurked elsewhere. She stopped walking. "Ash," he turned. "What is it? This doesn't feel right." She looked around the empty corridor. "Blackwood is methodical," your father said, "patient. So why would he launch a frontal assault on a fortified position? Why announce his forces were coming?" Ash's brow furrowed. "You think it's a trap?" "I think it's a distraction." Through the bond, she felt his mind racing, reaching the same conclusion she had. "The sanctuary," he said slowly. "My parents. They're alone. We pulled all our forces here." "Exactly where Blackwood wanted us." Nathan's voice crackled over the radio. "Building clear, no explosives detected. Repeat, no explosives." Biscuit is very disappointed. He says, and I quote, "This is a waste of my considerable talents." Ash grabbed his radio. "Nathan, get the unit back to the vehicles, now. The pack house was a decoy. Real target is the sanctuary." "Sir?" "My parents are there alone. Move!" They made it back to the sanctuary in 12 minutes. It should have taken 20. Sable didn't ask how many traffic laws they'd broken. She didn't care. All she could think about was Eleanor's warm hands pressing coffee into hers, Richard's gruff acknowledgement that her father had been a good man. Family. She'd just found them. She couldn't lose them now. The convoy screeched to a halt outside the sanctuary gates. The front door was open. "Stay behind me," Ash growled, already shifting into combat mode. "Absolutely not." They moved through the entrance together, Sable's wolf rising to the surface, her senses sharpening. She could smell it now. Foreign wolves. Violence. And underneath that, the copper tang of blood. Please, no. Please, please, no. They found Richard in the main hall, slumped against the wall. Blood seeped from a gash on his temple, but his eyes were sharp, furious. "Caden Blackwood," he rasped as Ash dropped to his knees beside him. "He took your mother." Ash's face went white. "Where?" "I don't know. He put a suppressant on her. She can't give out any signal." Richard grabbed Ash's arm, his grip surprisingly strong. He said if I made a move, he'd blow her up. He has an explosive device on her. We can't track her. "That's not true," Sable and Ash said at the same time. They looked at each other. "Biscuit!" Sable called. The Pomeranian rushed forward. His eyes were already scanning, nose twitching. "If Blackwood has explosives on him, the same kind he used at the gala, I'll track him down," Biscuit said. "The chemical signature is distinctive. Give me a starting point, and I'll find her." "Then let's go." Ash was already moving toward the door. "Wait!" Biscuit's voice cracked like a whip. "No one move. Do not touch the cars. Do not take another step. You may breathe. That's all." Everyone froze. Biscuit's nose was working furiously, his tiny body rigid with focus. He trotted toward the gate where their convoy had just entered, sniffing at the ground, the air, the tire tracks. "There," he said quietly. "Trace explosive, pressure triggered. When the cars drove past the gate, it started a timer." The blood drained from Sable's face. "How long?" Nathan demanded. "Based on the chemical degradation." Biscuit looked up. "Everyone run, now!" They ran. Sable grabbed Richard, hauling him to his feet. Ash was beside her in an instant, taking his father's other arm. Nathan shouted orders. The K-9 units scattered toward the back of the sanctuary. They made it through the rear doors just as the world exploded behind them. The blast threw them forward, heat searing across Sable's back. She hit the ground hard, Richard beneath her, Ash covering them both. When the ringing in her ears faded, she looked back. The front of the sanctuary was gone. The convoy vehicles were twisted metal and flame. Smoke billowed into the morning sky. "Son of a bitch," Nathan breathed. Ash swore viciously. Sable's wolf howled with rage. She pushed herself to her feet, ignoring the scrapes and bruises, ignoring everything except the fire burning in her chest. Sable. Richard caught her arm. His face was pale, but his eyes were urgent. "Before you go, you need to know what you're walking into." "I'm walking into getting Eleanor back." "It's more than that." Richard pulled himself upright, leaning heavily against Ash. "Caden took Eleanor because he knows you and Ash will come after him. This has been his plan all along." "What are you talking about?" "Years ago, before you were born, your father, Caden, myself, and 4 other alphas competed for a sacred artifact, the Covenant Stone. It grants immense power to whoever the owner chooses." Richard's jaw tightened. "Your father won the challenge. He obtained the stone and had it blessed in your name. The power was meant for you." Sable's heart stuttered. "My father never told me about any stone." "He couldn't. The magic required secrecy. If he'd spoken of it, the blessing would have broken." Richard met her eyes. "Caden has wanted that stone for 40 years. I believe he's the one who destroyed your pack, killed your family, trying to get it." The world tilted. All those years of hiding, all that grief, all that loss. For a stone. "If he already has the stone," Ash said slowly, "why take Mother now?" "Because Caden never paid attention to details." Richard's voice was bitter. "The stone can only be activated by the blood of the Blessed One and her fated mate. Willingly given. He needs both of you, and he'll use Eleanor to force your cooperation." Sable felt Ash's rage through the bond, white-hot, murderous. But beneath his rage she felt something else. Fear. For his mother. For her. For everything they could lose. She took his hand. "We're going to get her back," she sent through the bond. "Together." "Together," he agreed. "And then I'm going to destroy Blackwood." "Biscuit," Sable called. "Can you track the explosive signature?" The Pomeranian appeared at her side, soot-streaked but determined. "Already on it," Biscuit said. "The device on Eleanor will have the same chemical markers. Give me 60 seconds with the blast site, and I'll have a direction." "You have 30. Biscuit didn't argue. He raced toward the smoking ruins. 28 seconds later, he was back. "Northwest," he announced. "Approximately 3 miles. The signature is strong. He's not trying to hide." "He wants us to find him," Ash said grimly. "Then let's not keep him waiting." Sable ran toward the back garage, Ash right behind her. Her motorcycle was there, untouched, gleaming, ready. She swung onto the seat. Ash climbed on behind her, his arms wrapping around her waist. Biscuit launched himself into the space between them, settling against Ash's chest. "Careful with my fur," Biscuit said. "I just had it groomed." Sable gunned the engine. "Nathan," Ash shouted over the roar, "call the council! Get the elders! Follow our trail." On it. The bike shot forward, gravel spraying behind them. 3 miles. Eleanor, the man who'd destroyed everything. Sable's wolf burned bright with fury. "Let's end this." They found Caden Blackwood in an abandoned warehouse on the edge of pack territory. He wasn't hiding. The doors were open, lights blazing, as if he'd been expecting company. He had. Eleanor stood in the center of the concrete floor, her hands bound. 2 guards flanked her, massive wolves in human form, armed and watchful. And Caden himself stood behind her, one hand resting on her shoulder like a gracious host. He was older than Sable had expected, silver-haired, weathered, with the kind of face that might have been handsome once before bitterness carved it into something cruel. His eyes were pale blue and utterly empty. "Ah," he said pleasantly as Sable and Ash stepped through the doorway. "The guests of honor arrive. Let her go." Ash's voice was pure alpha command, power rolling off him in waves that made the guards flinch. Caden didn't even blink. "I don't think so." He patted Eleanor's shoulder. "Not until we've concluded our business." Sable stepped forward, and the guards raised their weapons. "Easy," Caden said. "I have no desire for violence. This can all be very simple." He reached into his jacket and withdrew something small, ancient, covered in symbols that seemed to shift in the light. "You know what this is?" "The Covenant Stone." Sable felt it calling to her, a pull in her blood, a whisper in her bones. Her father had touched this, had won it, had blessed it for her, and this monster had killed him for it. 2 drops of blood, Caden said. "That's all I need. 1 from each of you, willingly given. The stone activates, I receive its power, and everyone goes home happy." He smiled. "You don't lose anything. Just a few drops. And in exchange, Eleanor lives. Your pack survives. Everyone wins." "Wins?" Sable's voice came out steady, but her wolf was howling. "You killed my family for that stone. You destroyed my entire pack. I've spent years hiding, running, having nothing. And now you have everything." Caden's smile widened. "A mate, a pack, a family. All of that goes away if Eleanor dies. Is your pride worth more than their lives?" Silence. Sable felt ash through the bond, rage and fear and desperate calculation. She looked at Eleanor, at the woman who'd pressed coffee into her hands and called her too thin, who'd been waiting 30 years for a daughter. She looked at Ash, at her mate, her partner, her home. She looked at Caden Blackwood, who had taken everything from her once and was threatening to do it again. Any decision she made now would cost her something she couldn't afford to lose. As if on cue, a tiny voice shrieked, "Tactical force incoming!" A small orange furball launched at the guard on Eleanor's left. 4 pounds of Pomeranian fury hit the man directly in the groin, tiny jaws clamping down with the force of a creature 10 times his size. The guard screamed. Eleanor moved. Years of being an alpha's mate had taught her a few things. She twisted, bringing her bound hands up, and drove her elbow into the second guard's throat. He staggered back, choking. She wasn't done. Her legs swept out, catching him behind the knees. He went down hard, and she was on her feet, spinning toward Caden. But Sable was faster. She crossed the distance in a heartbeat, her wolf exploding to the surface. Not a full shift, just enough. Claws where her fingers had been, fangs where her teeth had been. Speed and strength no human could match. She hit Caden like a freight train. They went down together, crashing into the concrete floor. The stone flew from his grip, skittering across the warehouse. Ash caught it. Caden snarled, trying to shift, but Sable had her claws at his throat before his wolf could emerge. "Don't!" she growled. "Don't you dare!" He went still. Behind her, she heard the sounds of the fight ending, Biscuit still attached to the first guard. Athena materializing from somewhere to take down a third man no one had seen, Eleanor kicking the second guard in the head with a ferocity that suggested years of suppressed aggression. But Sable's focus was on the wolf beneath her, the wolf who had destroyed her world. "Go ahead," Caden rasped. "Kill me. It's what you want." Her claws pressed harder, blood welled around them. It would be so easy. 1 slash, 1 moment, and the man who had murdered her family would be gone forever. Sable. Ash's voice, quiet, not commanding, just present. She felt him through the bond, felt his love, his trust, his absolute faith that whatever she decided, he would stand beside her. "Whatever you choose," he said, "I'm with you." She looked down at Caden Blackwood, at the fear in his pale eyes, the desperation. the emptiness of a man who had spent 40 years chasing power and found nothing but ashes. "You killed my father," she said. "My mother, my pack, everyone I loved." "They were in my way." "They were people," her voice cracked. "They had lives, dreams. They loved me, and I loved them, and you took that for a rock." Caden said nothing. "I've spent years imagining this moment," Sable continued. "Finding you, making you pay. I thought it would feel like justice, like closure." She shook her head slowly. "But killing you won't bring them back. Nothing will bring them back." "Then what do you want?" Sable leaned close, her golden eyes boring into his. "I want you to live," she said. "I want you to be stripped of your pack, your power, your territory. I want you exiled to the edges of wolf society, where everyone knows what you did and no one will help you. I want you to spend the rest of your miserable life knowing that you lost, that all your scheming and murdering got you nothing." She retracted her claws. "I want you to suffer," she said, "and death is too easy for that." She stood, stepping back from the broken old wolf on the floor. Ash was beside her instantly, his hand finding hers. "You're sure?" he asked quietly. "I'm sure." She looked at him. "My father was a gentle soul. I remember that about him, even though I was young. He wouldn't want me to become a killer for revenge. He'd want me to build something better." Ash raised her hand to his lips and kissed it. "Then that's what we'll do." Nathan had done his job well. 3 elders, a council representative, and a full security detail swept into the warehouse with the gravity of wolves who understood they were witnessing history. Elder Miriam took in the scene with sharp eyes. "Report!" Ash stepped forward, one hand still holding Sable's. "Caden Blackwood kidnapped my mother, attempted to coerce my mate and me into activating the Covenant Stone through threat of violence. Additionally," his voice hardened, "we have evidence that he orchestrated the massacre of the Deep Blue Mountain Pack 8 years ago, the Castlemaine Pack, Sable's family." Murmurs rippled through the council delegation. "These are serious accusations," Elder Vance said. "Do you have proof?" He confessed. Eleanor stepped forward, rubbing her wrists where the bindings had been. Her head was high, her voice steady. "I heard him. He admitted to killing Alpha Brian Castlemaine and his pack to obtain the Covenant Stone. He's been hunting Sable for 8 years to activate it." "The stone itself is proof," Richard added, limping into the warehouse with Nathan's support. "It's blessed in Sable's name. Caden has had it in his possession since the massacre. How else would he have obtained it, if not by murdering its rightful owner?" Elder Miriam turned to Caden, still on the floor, surrounded by his defeated guards. "What say you, Blackwood?" Caden laughed, a broken, bitter sound. "What does it matter what I say? I've lost. The girl has her revenge." He spat on the floor. "Just kill me and be done with it!" "No." Everyone turned to Sable. She stepped forward, releasing Ash's hand, standing alone before the council. "I am Sable Castlemaine," she said. "Daughter of Alpha Brian Castlemaine and Luna Marie. Last survivor of the Deep Blue Mountain Pack." Her voice didn't waver. "This man murdered my family, destroyed my home, took everything from me. And what justice do you seek?" Elder Miriam asked. Sable was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke. "When I was a child, my father taught me that true strength isn't about how hard you can hit. It's about knowing when not to strike at all." She looked at Caden. "I could ask for his death. The council would grant it, but killing him won't bring my family back. It won't undo 8 years of hiding. It won't heal anything." She turned back to the elders. "I ask for exile. Strip him of his pack, his territory, his power. Let him wander the edges of our world, known to all as a murderer and a coward. Let him live with what he's done." She paused. "That is my justice." Silence. Then Elder Miriam smiled, small, approving. "The courage to choose mercy," she said, "is rarer than the courage to choose vengeance. Your father would be proud, Sable Castlemaine." The words hit her like a wave. She felt Ash's pride through the bond, warm and fierce. "The council accepts your petition," Elder Vance announced. "Caden Blackwood, you are hereby stripped of your alpha status. Your territory is forfeit. You are exiled from all packlands, effective immediately. Any wolf who aids you will face the same judgment." Caden's face contorted with rage, but there was nothing he could do. Council guards hauled him to his feet and dragged him toward the door. At the threshold, he turned back one last time. "You'll regret this," he snarled at Sable. "Mercy is weakness. Someone will come for you eventually, and you'll wish you'd learned to kill when you had the chance." Sable met his eyes calmly. "Maybe," she said, "but I'd rather live with mercy than die with cruelty. Goodbye, Caden." They took him away. In the silence that followed, Ash stepped forward to address the council. "There's the matter of the Blackwood Pack," he said. "With Caden exiled, they're without leadership, without territory. They'll scatter," Nathan said, "or be absorbed by neighboring packs." "Or," Ash glanced at Sable, "we could offer them a choice." Elder Miriam raised an eyebrow. "Explain." "Many of the Blackwood wolves followed Caden out of fear, not loyalty. They didn't choose his crimes. They were born into his pack, raised under his rule." Ash's voice was steady. "I propose we offer them sanctuary. Those who wish to join the Huxley Pack may do so, with a probationary period, of course. They'll need to prove their loyalty, but we won't punish them for their former alpha's sins." Murmurs from the council, some approving, some skeptical. "And if they refuse?" Elder Vance asked. "Then they're free to leave. Find other packs. Build new lives." Ash shrugged. "But they'll know they had a choice. That's more than Caden ever gave them." Sable felt a surge of pride through the bond. This was the man she'd chosen, the alpha who led with strength and compassion. "The Huxley Pack has always been known for its honor," Elder Miriam said finally. "This proposal is consistent with that legacy. The council approves." She turned to Sable. "And you, Sable Castlemaine, the Covenant Stone belongs to you by right. What would you have us do with it?" Sable looked at Ash. He was still holding the stone, its symbols pulsing faintly in his grip. "We could use it," he said quietly. "The power is yours, ours. No one could threaten our family again." She reached out and took the stone from his hands. It thrummed against her palm, ancient, hungry, full of promise. She could feel what it offered, strength beyond measure, protection absolute, the power to ensure that nothing she loved would ever be taken from her again. All it would cost was 2 drops of blood. Sable thought of her father, of the ritual he'd won, of the power he'd chosen to give to her instead of keeping for himself. She thought of everything that power had cost, the years of violence and death that had followed it. "My father wanted this power for me," she said slowly. "He wanted to protect me, but this stone has brought nothing but blood. My family died for it. Others died for it. And if we use it, more will die trying to take it from us." She looked up at Ash. "I don't want to spend our lives guarding a rock," she said. "I don't want our children growing up afraid of who might come for it next." "Our children?" Ash's voice was soft, his eyes warm. "Eventually, if you're lucky." He smiled. "I'm already lucky." Sable turned back to the council. "Seal it away," she said. "Lock it in the deepest vault you have, protected by the oldest magic. Let it sleep. Let the bloodshed end with us." She placed the stone in Elder Miriam's weathered hands. "I don't need ancient power," Sable said. "I have a pack, a mate, a family. That's more than enough." Elder Miriam looked at her for a long moment. Then slowly she smiled. "Alpha Brian chose well," she said. "When he blessed this stone for you, I think he knew. Not that you would use its power, but that you would be wise enough to let it go." She tucked the stone into her robes. "It will be sealed. You have my word." "Thank you." Sable stepped back, and Ash's arm came around her shoulders, pulling her close. Eleanor appeared beside them, pulling them both into a fierce embrace. "My brave children," she murmured. "Both of you. I'm so proud." The Luna ceremony happened 1 week later. They held it at the sanctuary. Rebuilt now, the front restored, the scars of battle transformed into something stronger. The whole pack gathered under a canopy of stars, torches blazing against the darkness. Sable stood before them in a simple white dress that Eleanor had chosen. Ash stood beside her, his hand warm in hers. The elders spoke the old words. The pack responded in voices that shook the night. And when it was done, when she was officially, irrevocably Luna of the Huxley pack, the cheering seemed to echo off the mountains themselves. Richard stepped forward first, pressing his forehead to hers in the traditional gesture of respect. "Welcome, Luna," he said gruffly. "Your father's spirit runs through you. Lead us well." "I'll do my best," Sable promised. Eleanor was next, tears streaming down her face. "I always wanted a daughter," she whispered. "Now I have one. The best one. I don't know about best. The best one." Eleanor hugged her fiercely. "Don't argue with your mother-in-law." One by one, the pack came forward, Nathan solemn and sincere, Helena grinning and already planning celebration parties. Wolves Sable had never met, offering their loyalty, their protection, their family. And through it all, Ash stood beside her, his pride radiating through the bond like sunlight. When the last pack member had paid their respects, he turned to face her. "Luna Sable Huxley," he said, and the name sent shivers down her spine. "Partner, mate, love of my life." "That's a lot of titles," she managed. "You've earned them." He cupped her face in his hands. "I spent 18 months trying to control everything, trying to protect myself from ever feeling anything again. And then you crashed into my life and ruined all my careful plans. You're welcome." He laughed, bright and free, a sound she'd never tire of hearing. "Thank you," he said, "for ruining everything, for making me feel again, for giving me a family I thought I'd lost, and a future I never dared to want." Sable's eyes were wet. She didn't bother wiping them. "Thank you for catching me," she said, "for standing beside me, for letting me be your partner instead of your project. Always partners. Always." He kissed her under the stars, and the pack howled their approval, and somewhere in the crowd, Biscuit was loudly explaining to Athena that he had orchestrated this entire romance through careful, strategic intervention. Sable laughed against Ash's lips. "He's taking credit," she sent through the bond. "Let him. He did save my mother." "Fair point." They broke apart, foreheads resting together, breathing the same air. "So," Ash murmured, "what now, Luna?" Sable looked out at her pack, her family, the life she'd never dared to dream of. "Now," she said, "we live, together, for as long as we have." "That's a long time." "I know," she smiled. "I'm counting on it." You've been listening to One Bite, written by D.N. Leo, narrated by Jessica Lee. Sable spent years running. Ash spent years building walls. And somewhere along the way, they found each other. Plus a Pomeranian who insists on getting credit for the whole thing. Thank you for being here, for listening, for making this community what it is. If this story touched your heart, hit like and leave a comment. Tell me, did Lieutenant Biscuit earn that corner office? I want to hear from you. There's a free bonus chapter waiting. Biscuit's first date with Athena. It's chaotic, it's hilarious, and it's yours. Link in the description and pinned comment. Subscribe for more stories and visit happynovels.com. That's where you'll find every novel D.N. Leo has ever written, plus links to all the free bonus stories in one place. Until next time, stay in love, stay a little wild, and happiness will find you.